industry for? Are you all new? So I just want to go quickly around in regards to how long have you been with the estate agency for? Do you know anything about property transfers? No.
My name is Zero.
Zero.
Yeah.
Either.
Okay.
I'm new.
New.
That's
So
good.
you need to know how a transfer works. So when your clients ask you, you know, the attorney said they're waiting guarantees. What does that mean? What is a guarantee? I will show you what a guarantee looks like so that you also seem like you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though your job is important, you're there to sell the house. But it's also important to have that extra knowledge because technically you get paid when the property registers. So your job doesn't stop until registration is over. So I think it is nice to know how a transfer works. And yourself?
I'm Esther.
Esther?
Esther.
I've never been an agent, but I've worked as a referral
Okay.
with for other agents.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Esther.
I'm Georgina.
Georgina. New as well.
I am Lydia.
Okay. Nice, Lydia.
My name is Ida.
Okay. Nelly.
Nearly.
New also in the industry.
Okay, Peter.
Martha, and I'm also new. Aneka, I'm new as well.
Okay.
Also,
Awesome.
Ndogozo. TK. Okay.
Okay.
I'm also new.
James is not new,
James.
he's lying. We all know
He's a
that.
junior.
I think James has been in the industry for over 16 years.
2006.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
17 years.
Okay, so everyone
Thank you.
new. Tell me I'm not, you know, James will tell you about the estate agency and why you're in the estate agency role. Let me tell you that as an agent, I think you guys are at the right place at the right time where we are now in, you know, situated in this country with everything that's going on. You know, with the interest rates going down, it is a buyer's market. So now is your time to get your buyers to push for them, try and get leads, just purely because there are people that will want to buy now, especially with the interest rates so low. Okay, so now I think you guys are doing the right thing. In regards to transfers, you know, the usual turnaround time, you're going to send us the offer, usual turnaround time for a transfer is 2 to 3 months. But unfortunately, you know, this year it hasn't been that way. No transfer has taken 2 to 3 months, purely because the banks are also rather slow in obtaining bond grants even. Some banks are declining people because they've taken loans during the COVID. So their financial, you know, their credit scoring is not so great. So it is going to be tough, but also the banks, because of what's happening, they are also giving 100% bonds. So there shouldn't, there shouldn't be a problem with that. What I've got in front of you is I'll start with the first page, which is responsibilities of a party. So even despite you being new, you should know what documents you require when you submit your application. You need your ID, proof of residence. In your case, you'll need your 3-month bank statements, 3 pay slips, and all of that. For us, what's very important, in order for me to draft my transfer documents, we need IDs, proof of residence, income tax number, okay? Marital status, please don't put married. Because married means many things. I could be married in community of property with someone. I could be married according to customary law. I could be married out of community of property. I could be married according to Hindu rites. I could be married according to Muslim rites. So there really is, when you're married, you're not just married. We need to know how you are married. Reason why I say this is very important. We received an offer last week. Just got Mrs. Ndlovu on the offer to purchase. When I did a deed search, everyone knows what a deed search is.
Does everyone know what a deed search is?
Okay.
Okay, a deed search. So when you send me an offer to purchase and you put stand number 255 Turpentine, I need to know who is the owner of Earth 255 Turpentine. So I've got a lovely program that I log onto and I put in the property description. If you have put the stand number 255 Turpentine, then I can do the deed search. But if you don't put the stand number, it's going to be very hard for me to actually see who the owner is. But I'll do the search. On the search, it will show me that Mrs. Ndlovu is there, but then it's also showing a Mr. Sunny Ndlovu. Now, but only her, she's on the offer to purchase. So I had to phone the client and say, please note, this property is not just in your name, it's also in someone else's name. Yes, that's my deceased husband. I said, but on the documents you said that you're married. Yeah, no, I am married. So previously her and her husband owned the property, he passed away, and now she's married to someone else. So now it's like a whole different story, and that changed documents, I need to request. That's already a 2-week delay in my transfer process.
A lot of time.
So ask questions, make sure that you know who your clients are that you're dealing with. So that's very important, is when you state married, how are they married? I'm just trying to think. Okay, let's go back to the sheet. For a seller, okay, what does a seller need to provide us as the transferring attorneys when we're transferring a property? An electrical compliance certificate. Okay, the reason why the seller needs to do this is he needs to ensure the new person that's buying the house, here's an electrical compliance certificate, all the electrical work is in order, don't worry, the house is not going to burn down in 2 weeks' time if there's too many plugs. Okay, please note when you also bind, most of the bond attorneys, the banks, they want a copy of the electrical compliance certificate before they even get a proceed from the bank to lodge. Why? Because if I'm the bank and I'm giving you 2 million rand to, for a property, I want to ensure that the electrical work is in order. Otherwise, if the house does burn down in 2 weeks' time, who's to blame for the electrical work? Okay, I have attached a copy of an electrical compliance certificate. Please note it is 4 pages. I didn't add all the pages, but I just wanted to point out where I've placed the star, what is important, which needs to reflect on the offer to purchase, like the stand number. Not often do the electricians put the stand number on the electrical compliance certificate. So when you go and sign your offer to purchase with the seller, you're going to say to them, please note one of the requirements is that you need to obtain an electrical compliance certificate. But that is also stated in the offer to purchase. So when you sign the offer to purchase with them, you'll see one of the clauses that does state seller is to obtain the electrical compliance certificate. Should there be gas in the property, we will need a gas compliance certificate, electrical fence, also if that's applicable. Costs that a seller needs to pay. Because they always, when they want to know how much am I going to get from this house at the end of the transaction, because that's important to them, is how much am I going to get from the sale? What am I going to have to pay? So one of the important things is if they've got a bond on the property, so I'm owning a house and I've got an ABSA bond on the property and I'm owing 500,000 and Jake's buying my house for R1 million. Okay, I'm going to use that because it's easy numbers. So Jake's buying my house for R1 million and I'm owing the bank 500,000. I need to settle that bank of 500,000. Okay, so you'll see cancellation costs of the existing bond. So whatever I'm owing ABSA, I need to pay ABSA from that R1 million. Then from that R1 million, I also need to get the figures from the municipality. Okay. Also, buyers, when they buy the property, they're always concerned about the seller's statement. But what if they're owing and they're so worried that they're going to take the seller's debt upon themselves, which they don't want? And the best way to assure your purchase is, please note, a seller needs to pay the rate clearance figures 4 months in advance. So when the property registers, the account is actually in a credit and they'll start billing the new owner from date it registered into their name. Okay. So that way the buyer needs to be assured when you go and open your municipal account, you will start with 0. Okay. And then the seller pays the 4 months in advance to get the certificate.
Sorry, who
Yes.
opens the municipality account? Is it the new owner or is the?
So us as the transferring attorney, we will provide you with all the correct documentation to go and open up your municipal account for the new owners. So the new
So
owners will
it's an
physically
agent.
need to, no,
No, so once a property is registered,
register.
okay, we send them 3 letters. The one is a clearance certificate, the original, so that the municipality knows the house is now transferred out of your name. We give them a letter to say it was transferred on the 1st of January.
Mm.
Okay? Plus the clearance certificate, plus we send the buyer a letter to say, please go and open your account with these documents at your municipality. The same with the seller. We tell them to go and close their account.
And apply
So
for
there is
it.
letters that we give you guys, to your clients, and say, listen, now you need to do that. However, you must make sure that these guys do it, because you go to municipality, and it's happened a lot, you say, listen, here's my letters, and they say, yes, it's taken off in it, in the meantime it's not. Make sure that they get a reference number, because then I can follow up on those reference numbers and say, listen, this I closed, what's wrong? Very important.
And then paid portion of body corporate for the levies, it's the same as the rate clearance figures. If there's a unit, you're paying levies every month. We also need to get levy clearance figures from the body corporate. And that is also for the seller's account. Okay. Then the purchaser will pay the bond registration costs and the transferring attorney's costs. Okay. If the property is over $1 million, that's when you start paying SARS transfer duty. Did you know that?
Yeah.
No. Okay, so SARS, when you're buying a property, if a property is over R1 million, you need to start paying SARS transfer duty. And it depends on the purchase price. So say, for example, a property is being sold for 2 million, your transfer duty is 50,000. And that's to SARS basically for Mahala, but you give it to SARS and you're like, to get a receipt. You decide to sell that property next week, the next person that's buying it will also need to pay 50,000 to SARS. So transfer duty receipt we need to get on every transfer. So depending on the purchase price. So if you want to know how much are the costs for a property on 1.2, I've got a client with me, I really need to know. Depending on James, I really don't mind. You're more than welcome to send me a WhatsApp message. My cell phone number is there saying, hi Zania, I need to know the estimate costs on a property for 1.5 million. So when you signing the offer with your buyer and they need to know more or less how much are they going to pay for their costs, I can advise you and your clients how much they're going to be paying. Okay. Another thing as well, I'm just going back now in regards to deed searches. If you need deed searches to be done to make sure that when you're completing the offer to purchase that you have the correct owner's details, you can give me a call. I can WhatsApp those searches back to you. It's not like I need an email address and it's going to take forever. It's just literally I'll WhatsApp that search to you where it will show you who the registered owners are. Okay, so that's the responsibilities of the parties. The next is the property transfer process. Okay, the most important part is for you guys is completing an offer to purchase. Have any of you completed an offer to purchase yet?
No.
Oh, we've still got many to do, hey? Hey, James, there's lots coming in the pipeline. Okay. So as you can see, we've attached your agency's offer to purchase. Number one, the first page is your party's details. I think I've already gone into detail how important it is to have the correct name. When you're completing your client's name, I could be Tandi Moyo, but I'm actually Tandi Sophia Moyo. So when I might address you as, yes, my name's Tandi Moyo, but I need to know what's on your actual ID. So you write according to what is stated on their ID. Even if there's 5 names, try your best to complete the 5 names there, okay? Because even if you don't send me the identity documents, if you complete this offer to purchase correctly, I don't even need the ID. I should be able to complete and draft my documents according to this offer to purchase.
No, until I get to answer the items.
Yes.
Guys, so just a quick thing as well. When we go buy a seller, offer to purchase, when you present it to your buyer, seller, whatever. First thing that you need to do is make sure first that they're married and how they're married. Okay, before you even go further. If she says, no, I'm married, but sometimes the home affairs don't do it and her husband passed away, that starts becoming a deceased estate. Now we will have a look and see what is going on, what type of estate it is. If it's just a letter of authority, okay, there's two letters. Letter of executorship is anything over 250,000. Under 250, you give them a letter of authority through the master, and we pay zoning and then pay.
And don't be shy of, properties where it seems like there's a problem. Properties, when I say problem properties, so if there is a deceased estate, some people, because they don't know about deceased estates, they'd rather tend to not do it. Don't have that, if you really feel conscious about meeting with the deceased estate, our offices are open because your knowledge is not so great, but you'd like to get them to sign the offer to purchase, bring the clients to our offices and we'll explain to them how the deceased estate works, how we can assist you. It's not for you to worry about. Your job is that you received the property and you've sold it. Okay? Don't worry if there's a deceased estate or anything like that. That's for us to worry about. As long as you've got a house and you've got a sale, guys, that's important for you. So the nitty-gritty on the hard transfers, don't worry about that too much. We are here to help you, okay? ID numbers, if there's no ID number, passport number and date of birth next to it, okay? The reason why date of birth is important, when I'm drafting my documents, I can, when I put in ID number, it automatically brings up the birth date. But with passports, it doesn't bring up the birth date, so I physically need to put in the birth date. Contact details and address, just address of where they are currently staying. Okay, number 2 of the offer to purchase, undertakings. The seller hereby undertakes to sell the purchase of the following property. Please do not put 96 Ravonia Road, Sandton, because that is not the stand number. You're giving me the address, but we don't work with addresses as attorneys. I know you'll work with an address with your clients, but actually you're not selling the address. You are selling the stand, the actual earth, and that is the information we need. If you don't have the earth number and you only have the street address, then we do a street to earth conversion. You know that lovely program that I was talking about that I've got? I go onto it and I put the street, 96 Ravonia, Sandton, and when I do street to earth conversion, it will give me this whole building stand number. Okay, so please put earth 255 Turfentine. If you don't know if there's an extension, like I said, we'll pick that up. Okay.
Sorry, it's also very important with the earth number. Okay, guys, when you talk to them, ask them for a municipal account, for a copy of their municipal account.
Because you'll find it on
your
there.
earth number will be on there, and then you fill it in. Okay, because now we're moving over to FICA stuff, like ID books, and then the general stuff. Do you guys know what is FICA? It's the government has put in place. When you apply at IDGAS for a card, they want your ID, the proof of address, and they say that's FICA. That's called FICA, and we have to have those documents. So to make it easier for you, while you sign it, say, please, I need your copy of your ID. If it's not certified, don't worry, I'll certify it. But you need that stuff, and ask them for that rates account. Because all your details are on there. You can see on there as well who is actually responsible for that. So that's
the other thing that's also important with completing the correct address, Anya, is when you submit this offer to the bank, they need the address for which bond they're applying for. Often, agents who have not completed the offer to purchase correctly submit it to the bank approves the bond. When I then request guarantees, which I'll get into later, but when I get the letter from them, they haven't got extension 4, they've just got Earth 255 Turfentine, and I'm like, but there's an extension 4. That means the bank needs to get an amended instruction for that bond grant. So already there's 2-3 weeks delay in a transfer. Just by not, that's why I'm saying you guys have a very important job to make the transfer process easy just by completing an offer to purchase correctly.
Correct.
Okay. And then, like I said, if you don't know what to complete or whatever, you phone me and say, Zania, do you know what? Don't tell anyone, but I need your help here. Fine, let me, I'm here to help you. Even if you don't have a street address, there's ways and means of trying to get information on the system. Okay. Purchase price is, yes.
Before you get to Zenia, you've got a mentor that you have to get hold of.
Mm.
If you sign, then you know that James is there. So you have to
Yeah, you obviously
get
know.
hold of me.
Mm.
I will be there to assist you before you get to Zenia. Suppose you don't have to give them more work. She's there to do the transfer.
Mm.
She's not there to be explaining on the phone. Because sometimes you might call and then she's not ready to pick up if she's in the meeting. But you have a pen to sign. So you call me
Yes.
then.
Mm.
And also what we do, James, I don't know if you guys have done a WhatsApp group.
No, James and I are on WhatsApp, but
Okay.
what we also can do is create a Yellow Star Property group, where all of you agents are on the group, including myself. So that group is like a general, like this is the information that I need, and if I am able to get back to you when I can that day, then I will get back to the agent. It's also nice because I broadcast information in regards to properties. So, for example, when the deeds office closes, you know, say you've got a matter lodged in the deeds office and the deeds office closes, I think it's important for the agents to know. So in case a client phones you, you can say, unfortunately, the deeds office is closed. So it's just more of a broadcasting network
To keep you guys up to date.
platform.
And also, sometimes he's
Yeah,
not
I
there,
do have a
we're
group
not
of
there.
Yellow Star, so I'll get you to that group.
Okay, perfect.
And then, you know, if you've got a question and you buy a client, like Jane said, sometimes we in meetings, sometimes we've seen clients and we can't answer you back. Send a question on that WhatsApp, okay? Because there's 4 or 5 of us are also on the thing. So then we can answer you back. You know, if you don't understand something, phone or WhatsApp us, please.
Mm.
You know, just to help you guys. If you're on Sunday afternoon and you've struck a deal, we're not scared of that, guys. I sign clients dead or alive. So yeah, it's just a tool for you guys. To obviously, you guys are still learning,
Mm.
and we try and help you to understand your work better. And if you do it right the first time, you're never gonna have problems. Yeah.
Okay, so the financials, you'll complete how much you're selling the house for. A bond is usually granted. When they say within how many days should the bond be granted, that you can always discuss with James, depending on the client, but usually it's 30
Yeah.
to 45 days, that you give the buyer an opportunity to obtain a bond grant, to submit all their documents to the bond originator. I think it's more than enough time to give someone. Okay. Please note that this isn't just a piece of paper that you
Sign and get people to sign for fun. Okay, it is a legal binding contract. Okay, so the moment the seller and the buyer signs, that buyer needs to know they've committed themselves to that property. Because you will get buyers that will sign 5 different houses because they like all the 5 houses, and it depends which one will come back to them. The problem is that they don't realize what that documents, that all those attorneys that they've signed, is a legal binding contract. Okay, so say they do get approved of, Jake does get approved for that R1 million to buy my house, but he signed 5 other offers. Actually, because he's been granted a bond, that means his suspensive conditions have been met. Okay, that means all 5 of those offers are binding contracts. That means that agent can sue Jake for his commission, that agent can sue Jake for his, all of them can, because he received the bond, but now he's just deciding he doesn't want to go with this house. It doesn't work like that. Okay, so they really need to be serious about, and that's why also, yeah, if Jake doesn't get his bond within 30 days, my friend is the attorney, they're going to place him on terms. Placing him on terms means, Jake, you haven't got your bond grant within 30 days. I'm giving you 7 days to remedy your breach of contract. So I'm giving you 7 days to fix the fault that you've made by not wanting to proceed with this contract. So I give Jake a letter, he sees, okay, I've got 7 days to make a decision, I need to go with this house, okay? So that's pretty much, that's why the days are also important, because you can't give a client also forever to try and obtain a bond grant, because it's unfair on the seller. Okay, because they need their property to be sold, and you need to ensure that the property gets sold as quickly as possible. Okay, so we can't give buyers 2 months to get documents together and pay slips, and rather try and push for those documents so that there's no delay there. Okay, commission, I'm not going to go into the commission because that I'll leave up to you, James. Okay. Puts toots.
Mortgage.
The mortgage one, yes. So Jake's buying my house for $1 million. He's got 200 cash. Then he's going to put under number 2 financials. Okay, the full purchase price is $1 million, which shall be payable as follows: 200,000 to be paid into the trust account to me within, and you can give them a reasonable time. Some clients have a 30-day closing account, then you'll put 30 days. Some just need a 48-hour notice, then you can put there within 2 days. But Jake needs to pay me 200,000 deposit for my house. The balance of the money he's going to get through the bank, through the bond. Then number 3, you put 800 for the bond, and that will be within 30 or 45 days.
In case it's a cash buyer.
Yes, then you will scratch out mortgage bond and you'll just put cash, but please state when that client needs to advise you when they will pay that cash. Because if I have interest, I'm not going to just wait for that client because you haven't completed how many days. Just assume that I must just wait for that money. I'd rather you put 60 days or 30 days, whatever it is. You need to discuss that with your clients to see how long will it take for them to have that cash available to put into the attorney's account. So when you're completing the offer, you're going to say, how much have you got? Please note it says here, to be paid in cash to the trust attorneys within how many days? And then you ask your client, within how many days do you think you can put that money into the attorney's account? Okay, does that help you? The mortgage bond is for the bank.
Okay.
Cash deals is normally nice. So, yeah, that money needs to go into trust. So,
The only difference between the cash deal, there's a difference when there's a cash deal, you have to deal with Zanya and transferring attorneys. So you don't have the bond attorneys, because there's no bond involved on the transfer. So the money is going to go to Zanya's trust, and then she will handle this other parts. So there's not too much job there.
No.
The deal can just go.
And we don't have to wait for proceeds from the bank. We don't have to send them electrical compliance certificates. It's just easier when the funds are in our account. Okay, I'm going to talk quickly about the funds in our accounts, because sometimes, you know, we love cash buyers. And when they've got their money in an investment where they're earning interest, okay, but now they want to buy this house and they need to pay attorneys. Some of these people that have huge amount or have cash, they want to ensure that their money is safe, you know, because they're not just going to transfer and their money's just going to be lying there. Please note, when we receive huge cash amounts, on all our documents, you know, for deposits and cash, even if it's a 20,000 Rand deposit, our purchasers complete an authority to invest sheet, which is a transfer document where they say, we instruct TLT attorneys to invest my money. The interest that is earned on my investment, they must deposit into my bank account, and they put their bank account details there. Okay, so you've signed the offer, the purchasers paid me their 200,000, I've invested that money. They will get the interest on that investment once the property is registered. When I need to pay that 200,000 to the seller, I close the investment and they'll say, oh, you earned 5,000 Rand interest. I pay that 5,000 Rand to the buyer because they've earned interest on that deposit. So another way to just ensure to your clients that your money is not just going to lie in the attorney's account, they will invest it and you will earn interest with that investment. Okay.
Is there any questions, guys? So far, so good. Okay, please just start. If you want to ask something, just do it.
Yeah.
Because now it's the time to learn.
And there's no such thing as a stupid question. Let me tell you, when you come into a new job or something that you don't know, you'd rather ask and know than sit there quietly and ask the questions in your head and not know the answer. And not only that, many times you ask questions and there's 5 people dying to ask the same question but haven't had the confidence to ask that question. And so you'll actually help your colleagues as well when you do ask those questions. Okay, number 4, number 5, that's self-explanatory. Number 6, voetstoot. I'm going to go around the table. Do you know what voetstoot means? Do you know what voetstoot means without reading it?
As his.
As he is.
I know
Yes.
why.
Yeah,
I have no
footsteps,
idea.
I don't know why.
Yeah, it's like very old.
Legally, they put it in footsteps means as is.
As his.
Yeah, as
That doesn't mean you can do whatever you want to. Remember, the electrical supply certificate must be done, and it's in a reasonable condition.
Yeah.
You know, but you buy it 2 months later, the one tile pops. You bought the footsteps, you have to fix it yourself.
Yeah.
So whenever you go to clients, I know they like to fool with you and you show them, it's better to be honest sometimes to a seller than later on try and fix the stuff. Okay.
So footstoots is when you're reviewing the property to your client and they like everything, you need to point out that you're buying the property as it is. Okay? You can't come later and say, oh, but you know, there's a little crack in the kitchen window. I need that to be fixed. No, you bought the house as you've seen it. Okay? If there are stuff that, you know, if there are things that do need to be fixed, like a cupboard door is hanging, and the purchaser saying, do you know what, one of my conditions that I do need those cupboard doors to be put on and in working order, then you'll go to other conditions, you know, towards on the last page. On the last page of the offer to purchase, where it says added conditions, you will put their seller to replace or fix kitchen cupboard doors before registration. That way, when I get the offer to purchase, immediately on the cover of my file, I make a note that the seller needs to fix it. Because as I'm going through the transfer and I speak to the seller, by the way, have you attended to that cupboard door? No, I'll attend to it next week. By the way, have you attended to that cupboard door? No, I'll attend to it. Please note that registration might take place, okay, and the property is registered. I'm going to keep 10,000 Rand of your money on my file until you do fix those cupboard doors, because if you don't, I'm going to get the purchaser to phone a handyman to come and do it. And I'm going to pay the handyman from that 10,000 Rand. Okay?
Last question.
Yes.
So what happens if maybe I purchase and then I see all the mistakes that have to be solved at that particular house?
So what sort of mistakes?
Maybe the cupboards or the geyser or what's
Or the tiles.
That's because you bought the property footstoots. So you bought the property as is. But if the roof is leaking because it hasn't rained for 2 months and now you bought the house, then it's a latent defect. You know, then it's something that you couldn't foresee. You know, then we need to deal with it differently. But for a crack here and a crack there, things that you didn't see, unfortunately, you bought the property as you've seen it. So if your clients want to view, even you as the agent that's viewing the property, you need to view those properties properly as if they were your own. Okay, you know, I mean, we've had cases where there's no missing tiles behind the fridge, and that was a problem for the purchaser. And thankfully, they moved into the house before it registered. The buyers moved into the house before it registered. That's why they were able to pick it up, and we could address it with the seller, and the seller agreed to have those things fixed. Most cases, sellers might completely disagree and say, actually, you bought the property footstoots.
That's why, guys, it's very important that added conditions on your offer to purchase. Please, if your buyer says they need to fix that, or make sure it's here. Because he can't come afterwards and say, yeah, but now this is wrong. Guys, no. You're under the conditions. You said you must fix. Or I'm going to fix. Or even the buyer says, no, don't worry about it in the conditions. I will fix it myself. Then you've got it in writing on a legal document.
What happens if maybe I move into the house maybe a month later?
Okay,
And then maybe those mistakes were not there when I went to view the house, but then that month.
that's why they call it food storage.
Still again, sorry for
Again,
that.
sorry.
I know,
That
it's
is what
terrible,
people
but
don't
that's
understand.
why.
Actually,
You can't sell a perfect house either. That's the problem. No one has a perfect house. People,
Even if by the time the old landlord was moving out, they broke a window. And then when I viewed the house, they were still in there, and then the window was fine. Then I come moving in 1 month later and it's broken, then I just take it as it is.
no, can I answer to that?
Mm.
Yeah.
So let me just go back a quick. See, there is, when you market sell outside, when you look at let's say, to obtain a stock, once you find someone, a client who said that for a house to sell, is giving you to sell. This is what we call a mandate. So the mandate is an attachment to the mandate, which is all the defects
for the house.
to the house. So when you go to the house, when you meet someone on the streets, like this person living in the house, you have to go and view and inspect the house. So when you inspect the house, there is this that attached to the there's an effect. You have to ask the seller the questions, because he's the one living there, he's the one who knows what is wrong there. So while you're walking into the house, there is things that you can see, identify yourself, then you put it on the list. Those that you can't see, you ask the seller that what is wrong in this house. If he says so, then you ask him what is he willing to fix.
On the,
Then on that, then you write down on the offered purchase. So on this offered purchase, as let's say that there is a special condition, so this place is not added for nothing. So even on your defect list that you have, you might not cover everything that is defect on the house. So you put it on a special condition, especially what the seller want to fix. Put it there as a conditions. So it will help Zanya on transfer. They can hold the seller accountable to that. And it might even hold the registration of the property until this is fixed.
Yeah.
Then we get the satisfactory letter
yes,
from the buyer, and then they'll ask the buyer to go and inspect the property.
property, and then sign a happy
So,
member.
yeah, and
So
if
it's
it's not
come to
under
your
that.
questions. It's come to your questions. After taking the buyer to the property, the buyer is view the property and is happy with the property, everything is important. On transfer, on registration of the property, that's why they say it's, occupation is always on registration.
Yeah.
You understand? So we get update from Zanya, and the property is lodged, it's on prep. So once the property is on prep, it's your duty, it's our duty to take the buyer again to the property. Because once it's on prep, it only takes 2 days to register.
Yes.
You understand? So we go again to review the property. If we find now there's something that is broken,
That's different.
Then I think
that's
hold the matter on
the
prep.
seller
Mm.
has to fix. Because when we came first to the buyer, it was okay.
Yeah.
That's have to fix. But any defect that you go into and then you find it later after registration, you have moved in,
Mm.
it's becoming a bit tough to
Mm.
unless you get
Then it's a litigation matter.
It's
Then
not a
actually
litigation
you
matter.
as the buyer got to go and see a litigation attorney to take legal action against the seller for the broken window, which is going to cost you more money than fixing the window.
But in any case, most sellers, if it's something like the window or a tile here and there, they
No,
will
some of
fix.
some
But
of
then
the
Zanya knows.
seller they just some of the seller if they find something then they just some people are honest.
Yeah.
Some just fix. And
Some
there's
people
other
are-
things like windows, like myself as an agent, or if I got my commission, so I don't want to have that problem. Like the buyer is already in, the seller is out, there is this stress of calling and stuff. I just get someone, a maintenance guy, to go there and just fix it. Because to make peace between those. Because one day the same seller, you meet him after some years, again he's your seller again. The same buyer can be your seller again. So just to protect the relationship.
You never know who
You
you
never
never.
know.
That's very important.
Just look at the window, it's what 800. You check your 50,000, take the 800, pay and fix.
Look, if it's tiles or the shower head or small stuff.
Small
they
stuff.
know, they
Well, some
know
people are
it.
complaining for small stuff.
But just remember on the electrical side, you've got an electric clearance certificate. Guys, it's a yellow form. We showed that form to you, Nana. That's what the electrician fills out. Please take note that once everything is transferred and there's a major electrical fault, they don't come for you. They don't come for other people. They go into the seller and say, where is this okay? Then his name is on there and his certificates and whatever, and they hold them responsible. That electrician has to go there and fix what he didn't put on there. And that's by law. So when we get the clearance certificate, you're already safe on the electrical side. So you're just looking at the little things like a door handle or whatever. Okay, but that's very, very important to put those things under added conditions. When you talk to the people, when you're with your buyer, and he says, I'm not happy with that paint, they need to paint. Ask your seller, can you paint it for us? Yes, I'm happy.
I'm the electrician. Covers all the pipes.
No, it's
Which
not.
electrician? The one
seller.
that's gonna issue the certificate.
It's
Either
normally
you
for the
as
seller.
the seller needs to pay for it, but, you know, as an agent, you tend to have an electrician that you like to use.
We do have
Yes.
qualified electricians.
Yes.
Because most of the time, sellers
Sellers don't.
remember when they bought those property, those
Yeah.
certificates were done by the sellers.
Hmm.
You understand? So now, most of the time, we do have our own electricians. When it comes to that, when Zanya requests or the owner then requests the ECC, we send the electrician, but it's the seller
Yeah.
cost.
I usually phone the agents first, you know, when I request an
Because you've got your
electrical
own-
compliance
most of the
certificate,
guys
because
have their own.
they've already informed the seller, and James might know already that he needs to do the ECC. So before I phone the seller, I just say, have you organized the ECC? No, I'm doing it. Or he'll say, no, you can contact the seller to get the
But
ECC.
if the sellers on the page, the price, it needs to
Oh, that's the law.
So,
That's the
okay, no, but I understand what you're saying. So when they sign the offer to purchase, you're gonna advise them that it is your duty to issue one, okay? They can, even if they might argue or whatever, you still get them to sign that offer, because again, when the matter comes up on prep, and I don't, or even if it registers, and I don't have an electrical compliance certificate, I will keep money on the file and I'll send an electrician to the house.
Either way,
The seller hasn't
No,
got
you
a
can't
choice.
get away.
I use the seller's money to get the electrician.
And obviously, in the beach office, we have to lodge with them,
Yeah.
so that they know.
The other thing is, an electrical compliance certificate is valid for 2 years. So if the person's just moved in and they've been there for 6 months and they did renovations and they want to sell it again, they should have an electrical compliance certificate when they bought the property, and that certificate is valid for 2 years. And it's a yellow document. Okay. And then, you know, sometimes people also get electricians there that are not the correct
Not
electricians.
qualified.
But they just do certificate, then week later, the plugs are bad and da, 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 da. That's why with that electrical compliance certificate, the electrician needs to put his practice number, his registration number. The purchaser then needs to go to, it's like the estate agency board, but it's something, it's like a home board. And you go and you lay a complaint against the electrician because he's issuing non-compliant certificates when the work has actually not been done. Okay.
It's very important to you.
Yeah. And then the cancellation, the breach of contract, I have mentioned that if anyone needs to cancel, so say for example, we were busy with the transfer, but now I've fallen in love with my ex again and we want to continue staying in the house. I don't want to sell it anymore. So we're halfway through the transfer and now I've fallen in love and now I've got one mind only and I don't want Jake to buy my house anymore. I want the transfer to stop. As a seller, you can stop the transfer, okay? Even as a buyer, you can also stop the transfer. But please note, as a seller, when you're stopping the transfer, I've decided to stop the transfer. Now, Jake thought no, but he's already paid the bond attorney's cost. So I then advised the transferring attorneys, please note, I no longer want to proceed with the transfer. These are my reasons. Me as the transferring attorney, I respond and say, please note, you will be held liable for wasted costs because I'm halfway through the transfer and you choosing to cancel, therefore you are liable for my wasted costs. And please note that the agent has done his job. He sold your house. He got a signed offer. He got a bond grant. The agents will also claim their commission. Okay. Then we tell the seller, please note, in order for you to cancel, I want my wasted fee of 20,000 and the agent wants his commission of 50,000. And Jake wants 30,000 for the money that he's paid to the bond. I will not cancel that transfer until you pay me my wasted costs. Why again? Because you entered into a legal binding contract. You can't decide I want Fanta today and Coke the next day. It doesn't work like that. So if that seller, if I'm so in love and then I'll say, no problem, I'll pay the 70,000. Then it's fine. Then everyone
Look,
gets,
guys,
you get your 30, James gets his 50, and the transferring attorneys get their 20,000. That's how it is. The same as a buyer. They can also choose to pull out, but please note again, agent can claim their commission. The seller can claim costs as well, because maybe he's now told his tenants not to stay in there and he's losing occupational rental on a property, thinking that Jake is going to buy the house, and now Jake's not buying the house. So he wants to claim for occupational rental. Then the buyer needs to pay those costs before I cancel. But I will not cancel the deal until everyone's been settled.
And that's very important for you guys. Fill in the offer to purchase properly. Because when it goes to litigation
And goes to court.
and it goes to court,
If
that
it's not
document's going to
complete
stand.
properly.
If your conditions were met from the offer to purchase, if it was met, sorry, we'll send them the letters to say, listen, you broke the contract, you need to rectify it, there's a certain amount of days. After that, or whatever, if they pay the deposit,
When there's a deposit involved.
Yes,
Yes.
we can use that deposit.
we can use that deposit
That's what the deposit pay the agent and.
Yes.
to cover our costs and your costs. Because when you go to see a doctor and a month later you say, no, I'm not gonna pay you, he's done no job, you fixed, so you need to pay it. The same with you guys, I mean, if your conditions are met, it's not your fault that somebody fell in love with somebody else and you played the game.
But you know what else
We
women are?
always
I
go
mean, really.
for your documents, that's how, guys, when you talk to him, guys, just make sure that you know what's going on. If I'm you, go through it every day, keep that, go through it every day. The list in front will explain to you what steps it is, but please learn your offer to purchase. Don't go sit by a client and, I don't know. It's easy. Just
So
follow
this
this.
document for us, it's like a firearm for a policeman or
Yeah.
for some for a soldier and stuff. So these things you have to have it, you have to understand it properly.
Now, it's your paycheck.
Properly and define it properly, which get. But this is, you see it as a document, but this is where your money comes from.
Yes, exactly.
If it's well
That
done,
is your
it's
money.
where it's your money.
No, that's why I say it's your check.
Yeah, you check. You see it as a document white like this, but when the money comes, and you start laughing. But make sure that you do it in a proper way.
Guys, I just wanted to show you something. We said there, sorry, names are.
No, go for it.
You say, when you have to fill in the attorney's name, it is and it will always be TLT attorney.
Yeah, which page? And also, you know what I've been thinking?
It says transferring attorney, so, yeah. Well, no, it depends on.
No, it doesn't
No,
depend.
that's, yeah,
The thing
James.
is that you see, I want to make it like already printed on it that.
Yeah.
TLT attorney.
Because then, you know, don't let other agents, especially link attorneys, try and talk nonsense into your head. You say, we do it or don't. Believe me, they
And
will.
no, also by, I don't think that, we say it by law. Normally, there's no law
What?
that says that. It's like a tradition to
Or
say that
like-
the seller.
The seller, no,
The
there's
one-
no law like that.
Oh, yeah, that the seller can choose the
the seller
transferring
can choose
attorney.
the transferring attorney. But,
No seller
signing.
easily knows an attorney
yes,
unless he himself is an
himself
attorney.
is an attorney or
So,
family
yeah,
members.
Oh, the brother.
Some will say that, no, my brother is an attorney.
attorney.
But there's an attorney, there's a convention. The brother can be a criminal lawyer somewhere, he can't do transfer.
Hmm.
So until you tell them that, no, your brother is an attorney, but what does he do? Then they don't know, he's going to court as a criminal lawyer. So no, but no, criminal lawyer is not a convention.
Exactly.
Yeah, but James will normally know.
Yeah. But that happened when you sign a mandate. The mandate is the authorization to sell a property to someone. On the mandate also, there is the attorney, transferring attorney's place.
Yeah.
So from there, you need to make sure that from there,
There, it's,
you secure that place TLT.
You guys
So
understand
once
the
the offer
mandate.
is signed,
All of you understand that mandate.
yes.
Because a mandate, guys, if you can sign it from the seller side, it guarantees you your money.
Your money, yes.
Because if another agent comes to you and say, listen, I've got a buyer and you've got the property, 50-50 share or whatever percent you've got, you know, so you, even if you don't sell it, they will, and then you get 50% of your commission. You know,
One
so-
thing that we say, in this industry, we say that we can secure a seller, but we can't secure a buyer.
Yeah.
Because the seller, once you sign a mandate with him, if it's for 3 months, if it's for 6 months, he's bound to that. Until
Yeah.
6 months. And in 6 months, you make your sell property.
And
In
if
6
somebody
months,
else-
another agent can come, and because you're holding a mandate.
Yeah, you can tell
The
that
seller-
agent.
even the seller himself, he can get a buyer. Right, with someone from the family and stuff. It's because that 6 months or 3 months still there. He has to come through you. Then
Yeah,
you get your money.
it's like the house is your house.
And many times agents will try and outdo you. Please note that you sometimes you can have enemies in the industry because they also want the house or they've got the buyer. You know, and you might have the mandate for 3 months, but you know, you briefly mentioned this house to a friend of O'Brien or other estate agent friend that hasn't got the mandate, finds the buyer and tries to go behind your back to directly get the offer to purchase signed, okay? It eventually does come out. It's not often, and we've had that where we received an offer and it turns out that the seller signed the mandate, but the seller's like, but don't worry, I want this offer to go through. No, I can't
Doesn't
do
work
that.
like it.
I cannot do that. If you've signed a mandate for 3 months, we need to go through with that signed
Yeah, but
mandate.
take note, people do try and do things like that.
Unless
right?
the two agents collaborated.
It's
Unless
like
you
little
agree to
chihuahuas,
collaborate,
they
then the
always
seller
is
doesn't
distorted.
even need to know. The seller will
And
still
you
deal
get it, but
directly
for
with
you
you,
to
but
be
your
safe,
buyer, your
also, do
other
you guys know
agent.
what's an open mandate? Okay. When there's one or two different agent boards outside, approach that house. Approach them. That is an easy buy for you. And go in, show your professionalism, show you what you can do, and 9 out of 10 times they'll sign a mandate with you. I say, I don't know how long the
And
mandate.
we say, even if you do, so I'm talking out of experience when Jake was selling his house, he also gave an agent a mandate. The thing is, what's important is that even if you don't have potential buyers, try and take 1 or 2 people at least to go view the
Those
house.
are the Saturdays.
Yeah.
You can even take one of your colleagues.
Yes,
Yes, they don't know.
You say, no, those Saturdays, take one of your colleagues, he dressed nice.
But don't sign a
and then you
mandate
take them to
and you
view.
don't
You just
take
take it as a
anybody.
client, so you keep the seller busy.
Yes,
Because remember, after 3 months, you must not take that property. But the seller can
Must
extend
and still agree
your
for you.
mandate because of the service.
And you
That's
put
your
in an
time.
effort,
You've seen
you
your
brought
activity,
people
you're busy,
through.
coming with people in and out. Then you save your mandate. See, no, this guy can sell it.
Exactly, like this lady, she didn't bring one person through and the mandate is finished, but can I still, no, thank you, you've done absolutely nothing, or
No,
not even
we
show
have at my
interest.
house, sorry.
Like,
But they
Maybe
want that
someone-
mandate.
yeah. Okay, I'm gonna move on quickly, then occupation, number 11. Occupation is, when will the buyer take occupation of the property? You will complete there on date of registration. So the date the property is registered, it's the date that it's the new owner's, it's in the new owner's name. And me as a person, if I was buying a house and it registered today on a Friday, I would like to move in on the weekend. Okay, because that is my house, which I will be paying a bond on, and therefore I feel that I should move in. That's why we always tell sellers, when we're doing the transfer, we advise them, okay, yes, transfer process has started, but please note that in 2 to 3 months, you're going to move out, okay? So they can just start preparing themselves, or not even themselves, maybe they've got tenants there. Then they can tell the tenants, by the way, the house has been sold, the transferring attorneys are busy with it, it does take 2 to 3 months. I'm not giving you a month's notice, I'm giving you more than enough month's notice, but you need to move out. So occupation on date of registration is very important. Then should the purchaser, 11.6, it says, should the purchaser take occupation before transfer, he or she shall pay the seller how much? Now, in order to know how much you would rent a property for, it's usually 1% of the purchase price. So if you're selling a house for R1 million, we would suggest that the occupational rental be 10,000. Okay. If you're selling a house for 2 million, then we suggest 20,000. So it's usually 1% of the purchase price.
It is also the same thing, so the bond repayment, which is also 1% of,
Yes, it's normally.
Yes,
because
Yes.
the bond repayment is almost 1% of the purchase price.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's why the occupation rent is also 1%, because the reason why the bond, the accounts, the bond accounts holder maybe must be paying the
Yeah.
bond. So if
Yeah,
you
you're
pay occupation rent of 10,000 before the property is registered to your name, it might assist him or her to carry on paying the bond until it registered and the bond will cancel. So that's why the occupation rent is always 1% of the purchase price. When it comes to that clause of occupation, I wanna say something there. You see, the occupation, we always say that on registration, it's always good for the buyer to take occupation on registration. I don't advise for the buyer to take occupation before.
Yeah,
registration,
because then they come with
They
stories.
must come with
Yeah.
stories. Remember also, if as the agent, when you're selling, what you do here is marketing. You see, when you walk into a mall, you find someone selling MTN card and no one selling Vodacom card. They will tell you what is an advantage of Vodacom, or even if they know that sometime if you put Vodacom, your data will go, but they won't tell you. But as an agent, also there's other things when you walk into a house that you see that no, 1, 2, 3 is not good. So because you are marketing, you try to show the buyer that no, this is fixable. You know, if you go to CTM, you just buy tiles. There's some tiles there that you can buy. It doesn't cost much. You see. But I always advise for the buyer to take occupation because the property is registered and they move in.
Yeah.
Because once they move before, yes, they will say that no, the house is empty, I can pay rent. Yes, they will pay 1%. But why is it the house?
The
They will pick
complaint.
up so many things.
And then you start complaining and that comes straight
And
to
now your
phone.
commission is start hanging around there. Because there's the option of pulling out or pulling off.
That's what I
We don't want to get to that
mention.
stage of start suing people for commission, and it's also stress.
Sorry, Zanya, to back in here, guys. If you had, let's go back to that number 10, cooling off period. Okay, now this is comes with us, please, guys. Anything under 250,000. Okay, I see you've got a space here where you can say how many days. They've got, let's say, 7 days cool off period. Anything over that, if they sign the document, it's done. They can't phone you and tell you, no, I've got cool off period. There's no law like that.
Yeah. The reason why I didn't bring up a cooling off period is because I don't want you to aim for 250 houses. Okay. We want.
You.
But if you have 10 250 houses, we'll take it. Does that make sense? So, no, I'm joking. But please, don't feel that, purchase price is like, oh, I've only got a 500,000 offer to purchase and the other person's got a 1.2. I've said this many times is, initially I worked for another firm in the Sandton area. And yes, we used to get offers of 2.3, 3 million, but we were lucky if we got 5 transfers a month as transferring attorneys, okay? Yes, they're big amounts and they're big properties. Some were even 6 million. Great, but they were only 5 transfers. The moment I started working at TLT, I'm not saying we specialize, but we do a lot of Soweto properties as well. And there you'll find 500, 600,000, but then we've got 20 transfers, and that's a lot better. That's 20 agents commissions as well, okay? So
you've got yours there on 11 where you say occupational date is of transfer and stuff is there and it's fine.
yes.
That's awesome.
Okay, so does everyone understand the occupation clause when a client should take occupation?
Yeah, what if, you said the 1%, right? What if the person was renting his house a little bit higher compared to the 1% that the tenant?
Well, if you put the offer in and they accept, then it's fine. It's only a guideline, 1%. Okay, of the value. Okay, so if they want more, just put it there and it's fine.
I didn't get the cooling off period. I didn't understand.
Yeah, so basically if you sell a house for under 250,000, so say for example this offer to purchase is 100,000, anyone, and the client has paid 100,000 and they want to cancel, I can give them their money back because it's under 250.
It's under 250, so yes, it's a cool-off period.
So it's for
legal by
five,
the government,
for 5 days, you know.
But over that, guys, and most of you guys will deal with properties more than 250,000 normally. Okay, there's no cool-off period. Don't let your clients tell you, listen, but I've got, because everybody's got a brother that's a sister that's an attorney, and they know everything now according to this document. I don't care what attorney you are, you can't beat this document.
Yeah.
Okay, so from our side, that is how we protect you, and from you, this is how we protect you and your client.
Okay. Number 12, jurisdiction is, this is basically, so if there's any legal proceedings that need to take place, it needs to take place within your jurisdiction, so within your area. You need to either go to the magistrate within your area to sort out the litigation matter if there is anything. Non-waiver, that means no extension of time will be allowed by sellers or buyers. So when you put that the buyer has 30 days to get their bond grant, it's not for you guys just to decide, okay, we'll just give them extension. Why? Because it's a legal binding contract. So when we do need to make amendments of such things, we need to do an addendum to the agreement. Okay, so 30 days have come and gone, and the buyer's asking for an extension and the seller agrees. I'm going to get the seller and the buyer to sign the addendum to say we hereby confirm there's an extension of an extra 30 days. That means the seller is happy to wait another 30 days and the buyer gets given another extra 30 days. Okay, but you can't just, you know, no extension of time, which may be allowed by the seller to the purchaser in respect of any payments provided. Okay. Then non-variance, no agreement between parties yet to cancel, amend, or add to the offer to purchase. So verbal agreements don't work very well in court when you're standing, because it's he say, she say. Okay, so we do, if there is amendments and you know the seller then agrees for the pool to be fixed, we do an addendum to say the seller hereby agrees to attend to the, you know, to the fixing of the pool. Okay. Anything extra that you want to put on this offer to purchase, we need to do, bless you, we need to do an addendum to the agreement. Okay, we're not just going to a week later, just try and
cross it out. It must be a legal letter.
Yeah. SARS, this is just basically, we need to submit our documents to SARS. SARS needs to know who's buying, who's selling. Clearly also for capital gains tax, meaning that if this is not my primary residence, I have many residents, and I'm now selling it, I'm not selling my own, it's capital gains tax, so then I need to pay SARS. Same as the buyer, remember, as I've mentioned, if you're buying a property for over R1 million, you have to pay SARS transfer duty. And I mean, when we started, I think it was like 650 or 500 then. You know, from 500 higher, you had to pay SARS transfer duty. Then it was 750 and higher. Then it was 900,000 and higher. Now they've made the shirts R1 million and higher. Okay, that's that. And then domicilium, like I said, the parties choose the addresses as we mentioned. Just remember, when Jake hasn't paid me my 200,000 and I need to place him on term, I'm going to send an original registered document to his home address, basically serving him to say, so I'll send it via email, but I will also send it via courier to be hand delivered to the person, so that they can sign to say that they've received that notice. That's why their addresses, domicilium addresses, are important, so that we can send notices to
Big
them.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah, domicilium to Tani and exactly Tani, that is the place where we start.
And then just signatures, sellers and buyers. Yeah, signatures, buyers, sellers, those are very important. Those are ones when you start smiling. Once you get to that last page and your clients have signed, then you should give yourself a pat on your back already for what you've accomplished up to that point. And then the information sheets, that's pretty self-explanatory. Guys, again, this just helps us as the attorney, your bond, you know, originator, just to type in the correct information. So full names, ID numbers. If they do have income tax numbers, please complete them. But don't worry too much because I'm going to request the income tax numbers when I request it. FICA documents, marital status, again, you know not to just put married, you're going to find out how they married. Okay? Email, cell phone numbers. Then, we need to know whether there's a bond on the property. Okay, so now you've signed the offer, now we need to start with the actual transfer process. You're going to advise your sellers, have you got a bond on the property? They're going to say, yes, ABSA, I'm still paying ABSA off every month. You're going to tell them, please give the bank notice that you are cancelling your bond. Okay, the reason why you need to tell your clients to phone their bank to give notice is because some banks charge a penalty fee for not giving notice of cancelling their bond. Then when I get the cancellation figures and I'm signing with the documents, they're like, but what's this notice period? I said, no, you should have given, you know, the bank notice. Do you know that the clients are always very quick to blame the agent? Just say, but the agent didn't advise me. They didn't tell me that I needed to give notice to cancel my bond. It's not something that you do have to do, but we do suggest that you do it because then it's something good on your side by telling them, I'm saving you money by actually telling you to give notice to your bank that you are cancelling your bond. Okay? Because otherwise they come there and then they say, oh, but that notice period is for 3 months and I'm being charged 20,000 Rand. That means I only want you to start the transfer in 3 months so that they don't get charged penalty fees. And that again causes a delay. Okay? So when you find out, okay, you've got ABSA bond, do you have that ABSA bond account number with you by any chance? Because again, the moment I receive this offer, I can immediately request cancellation figures from the bank. You know, not by me phoning the client, please can I have it, and they send it to me a week later, then I only request, it just, already I've lost 2 weeks there on time. So if they can, try and get as much information as you can from your client when you're completing the offer to purchase. Okay.
And we also, from our side, well, you ask them if they got a bond. If they say no, the house is paid up, then the next step is ask them, where's your deed? Title deed. That's very important. We have to lodge with an original title deed. Can't be a copy, can't be a certified copy, it must be the original. If that document is lost, the bank is going to charge to replace that, and it's between 6,000 and 8,000.
Yeah, it's the same as if you don't owe anyone and you thought you were in possession of the title deed. And many times our clients do think they're in possession of the title deed and they think it's an original. But with the deeds office, they have a special embossed stamp at the back, and you can actually feel the embossment on that last page. That's how you know it's an original. Okay, but as me as the seller, I've lost my title deed and Jake wants to buy the house. If I don't have the title deed, we need to place ads in the newspaper, let it lay for inspection for 21 days. And unfortunately, it is going to cost me 10,000 Rand to replace. And it's going to cause a 3-week delay.
The difference between a title deed and a deed of transfer.
It's the same thing, it's just different, yeah.
But when you have that, it means you have
You have your title.
You have your title deed. But like you said, the last page, check it, rub it, you'll feel it's embossed.
Yeah, like sometimes like the files produce like fake documents.
Yeah, and you can feel because you
file?
need to lodge with the original.
Oh, sellers. Well, they can try, but yeah, we need to apply for a loss.
It's called the VA.
So what would happen if
you come to me? Well, the thing is, okay, so say for example, this is your title deed and you have a property in Meadowlands, okay? And you come to me and you say, I want to sell my house to Jake, here's my original title deed. Number one, I'm going to check and I'm going to say, okay, is that your name? Where's your ID? Okay. If it's not an original, I'm going to tell you we're going to need to apply for a lost title deed. But you can't come with me to an original title deed. You are not the registered owner, but you want to try and sell it there. Me as the attorney, I'm going to tell you, I can't help you.
No, because we check it.
Yeah,
and
we have
see,
to
look,
check.
this property is not on your name. We've had people trying to sell their granny's houses and stuff.
But in case you have a power of attorney, you can do it, right?
Yeah, we sign. I go to the client and I sign power of attorney. That gives us power to work
To transfer
on
the
your behalf,
property.
to do the transfer.
we check if they've got like
Well.
No,
you
so
said
what
we
happens
signed
is,
it.
so we draft the power of attorney where the seller signs to give us instruction to transfer the house. So just by having a title deed doesn't mean you still need to sign to give me permission to
Yes.
put the house into Jake's name.
Because we go on a system, we check on a system, and it will tell you who is the registered owner. If it's not you, sorry, but you can't sell the property.
But if it's not me, but I have the power of attorney from the owner.
Yes,
So then that's fine. So I'm
That's fine.
currently doing a transfer like that, where the parents are in Congolese and the daughter's here. They have had to sign a special power, not a general, because you get different powers of attorney. You get a general power of attorney. A general power of attorney is where if I give Jake general power of attorney, he can go open bank accounts, he can withdraw with my account, he can go wild, he can do whatever he wants. Basically, Jake owns me. Special power of attorney is where I'm giving Jake a special power of attorney to say
For that.
specifically for this property, you can sign anything or do anything in regards to this property. I'm giving you a special power of attorney to deal with this property of mine. So these parents have signed the special power of attorney at the South African Embassy, giving their daughter permission to, because she's here in this country, so it just makes it easier for her to have special power of attorney for the property, and she'll sign all my transfer documents. Then that way, the parents don't have to, because there's problems at the embassy.
yeah, we'll normally have a look and see when you, as the agent, talk to you, like I said in the beginning. Find out, how are you married? Yes, I'm married, but for us, we go on a system, and like, but now the surname is different. So the first husband died, nobody reported it, kept dead quiet, that the house was still part of his. Now she's married the second time, or he's married the second time. There's conflict, then obviously we will go through you guys and we'll come on a later stage and do a deceased estate training for you guys, so that you understand, you know, when you go to client, because I think clients will be quite upset if, because you say yes, and she's married here. We do a search and it's like, it's a total different surname. You say, but what happened here? Oh no, that's my new husband. What happened to the old one? No, he died. How were you married? In community of property. Ooh. They've got kids. You have to report the deceased estate, guys, at the master for selling a property as well. Okay. If they've got it, like they've got a letter of executorship, that is fine. Letter of authority, like I said, the two differences. Under 250, it's a letter of authority. That's very easy. We get the letter, we write the letters to all the different people, and we pay out. Letter of executorship, we actually have to do a full L&D account, liquidation distributing account, and the master will approve that. So he might have had kids by a previous wife, so they stand in line for their money. Okay. And also for your clients, when I talk to your clients, guys, I would like to tell you guys that we do free wills for your clients, because now they are clients. People don't like wills, but it's a necessity and we do it for free for you guys.
So the reason why we do that is because, just remember, if I own a house and I die today, okay, I need to know where that house is going to go to. Is it going to go to my child? Where is that house going to actually go to? So the reason why we tell the new owners is because, yes, they might have a will, whatever, but you haven't got that new, that your house is now an asset. Yes, the bank owns it, but we still need to know who's the house going to go to? Is it going to go to your children? Is it going to go to? So it is something nice to say when the house is ready and you're handing over the keys. You say, please note, the transferring attorneys will attend to a free will because you're an existing client, to include your property on your will, so that if something happens to you, we know where the house is going to go to. Okay. I mean,
there's no will, and then the husband dies.
As an
When we're
intestate-
signing with them,
The will
We
is
put
called an
the-
intestate if you've got the will. No? That's a normal,
yeah.
okay? When there's no will,
Then it's a
then it's an
interstate.
interstate law of succession. Okay, they call it bestreepies. What happens then, you have a look at your parents, your kids, and there's a tree.
Yeah, they say
Structure.
the house
Yes,
goes
there's
to
a
the
structure.
person sleeping next to me. Okay, that's, if I die, it goes to the person sleeping next to me. There's no one sleeping next to me, so it goes to the people sleeping under me, which is my children. If there's no children, then it goes to my parents, the people
No, it
sleeping
goes back
above
up to
me.
your parents.
there's no parents, it goes to my siblings on the other side.
Brothers.
That's how it works. There's person sleeping next to you, your children under you. If there's no children, then it goes to your parents. If there's no parents, then it goes to your brothers and sisters. If there's no will, that's your, how you
So
do it.
while feeling this, when there's one part where the
Somebody
husband is dead, and then how do we feel?
You'll
Married,
put
but-
estate late and the husband's full name.
Oh,
Just estate late. By putting estate late, you basically stating that that person
Yeah.
is late.
Just put the
Or even
E
an
straight
E and
out.
an L. You know, you don't have to put the full word estate
Because
late.
then, on the interstate, the master controls it, and obviously they've got their rules, and this is how it's gonna happen, and nobody can change that.
And
If
that's,
there was a will, just know, guys, that works, because he says, I leave my whole house to my wife, even if there's children and stuff, that is what's gonna happen.
The wife will
Anything
get
on that, she will get everything.
another good thing about doing property or selling property in South Africa. In some cases, let's say where we come from, I think Congo high. That's the girl who died and then who's alive.
Yeah.
You know, you just come to the gold there, sold. You
Yeah.
don't see where the money goes.
Yeah, there's laws that
There's laws,
guides
yes.
us and you guys. And it's very nice for you guys to actually, when you walk into a client and you talk to, and you know those things, because you look a lot more professional. You know, asking those questions, that's why I'm hammering on it. Than telling client, "Ooh, I don't know. As soon as they hear those funny words,
Then it's like you don't know. And if you don't know something, sorry, James, if you don't know, say, if you don't know what they ask, you know, the answer to what they're asking, you say, may I please get back to you on that? You know, I don't want to give you the incorrect information. So it's not saying you don't have the information. I don't want to give you the incorrect information. I'd rather get the correct information. Can I get back to you? So you don't say, I don't know. You say, I don't have the correct information. Can I get you the correct information and I'll get back to you? Okay, I'm going to go through this property transfer. So number one, it says buy and sell it to sign offer. You can see there's a little number one here, and it's because I've numbered some of these documents. Okay, so you can see what I'm referring to. So buy and sell it, sign offer to purchase. We've gone through the offer to purchase. You know how to sign an offer to purchase. You're going to complete it with all the correct information. Okay. Then we're going to go seller appoints attorneys of choice to assist with transfer. If they don't know who they want to, or you don't even mention it, you say these are the attorneys that will attend to the transfer. I'm just reading over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Then attorneys, us attorneys, we await for the bond grant. Okay. Also for a letter from the bond attorneys advising us how much the bond has been granted for. Because you might say, purchase price is R1 million and Jay's going to get R1 million bond. By the time the bond gets granted, the bond is not R1 million, it's only 800,000. Very important for me to know how much the bond has been granted for, because if it's only been granted for 800, I need to request 200,000 deposit. Okay, so you will send me the bond grant, and I will ask the buyer, because usually once the bond has been granted, Standard Bank will phone the client and say, congratulations, your bond has been granted, and Workman, how do you say it? Anyway, they are the bond attorneys, and then I know to contact them to say, please will you send me your letter to state how much how much you have available for the guarantees. Okay. Then rate clearance figures are requested from the municipality. We apply for the rate clearance figures. Jake is also one of our consultants. He will go to the municipality and go and hand in the rates application. We will get the figures from the municipality, and it will say to us that the figures are valid for 4 months in advance. Some sellers, they don't like that one. When I'm like, oh, they're like, no, but I'm only owing 2,000 Rand on my account. Now you've been bringing me the statement, you're saying I must pay 16,000 Rand. Well, I'm so sorry that I don't work for the council, but unfortunately this is what it states, is that we need to pay 4 months in advance. If it registers, and I'm going to use this as an example, I've received figures and they're valid until end of December. The property registers end of October. I'm going to tell the seller, even if it registers end of October, I know you're paying until end of December, but I'm going to give you all the registration letters and documents to go and apply for your refund from the council. Okay, the council will refund us, the attorneys, because we made payment of those figures from our trust account. So they will refund us and we will refund the sellers. So I just try and reassure the sellers, I know these figures are 4 months in advance, but we also don't know how long a transfer can take. You know, we say 2 to 3 months, but now my client is stuck in Cape Town and can't get a flight to Johannesburg. You can only get it next month. That's delayed my transfer by a month. That way it helps to have those figures actually 4 months in advance. Okay, so we've requested figures from the municipality. Then attorneys require original title deed. Okay, so we either need the original title deed from the client or we'll get a copy from the bond cancellation attorneys. So the bond cancellation amount from the seller's existing mortgage bond. So now I want you to go to number 2, the ABSA page. So this is just an example of what cancellation figures look like. So when I tell you as the agent, I'm awaiting for cancellation figures from the bank, I've told ABSA, this is the account number, this is the property description, please can you send me how much the client is owing, okay? This is basically what I'm waiting for from the bank, is for them to tell me how much it's owing, okay? When I tell you I've received bond cancellation figures, I'm requesting guarantees, I'm going to explain to you now. So bond cancellation figures basically say to me, number C at the bottom, it says cancellation amount. That is how much I need to give ABSA to cancel that bond, to remove it off the property, okay? Because technically, the owner doesn't own that property, the bank owns that property. So in order for the bank to put it into Jake's name, even though I'm the owner, I need to settle ABSA. In order for me to settle ABSA, they're asking for 993,000. So me as the transferring attorney, the moment I get these cancellation figures, those bond attorneys upstairs, I'm going to send them a letter and I'm going to say, please may I have the amount of 993,000 to go into that account number. Okay. Then they're going, oh, if you turn the page to number 2, can you see early termination charge that I put a star next to, 18,600? That is what the seller is paying because they didn't give notice. So you can say, do you want to save money? As the agent, I can help you save money on this deal with, please give notice to your bank.
For your seller.
That way you're already putting your foot in the good books of the seller, because that way, in this case, this client had to pay 18,600 because they weren't notified by the agent that they had to give notice to the bank. So they were extremely upset with the agent. And that's not to say that it is the agent's job. I'm not saying it is your job to do it, but it is something nice for you to advise your clients. Please note you need to give notice to the bank, otherwise you will get charged an early termination fee.
What is it? It's 90 days now. No.
90 days, yeah. Notice.
So if your client tells you, your seller tells you, I've got a bond, tell him to give them notice.
Yeah, immediately.
Immediately.
When they sign that
It's not going to cancel anything. It's just a 90-day notice to give you the chance to do the transfers and stuff. Okay. And I mean, you can see that client was 18,000 rand. That's stupid.
It is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. And some of them are more.
Okay, then when we turn over to page 3, so I've gone to those attorneys and I've sent them a letter to say, please may I have 993,000. I need a guarantee of 993,000 to send to ABSA. When I send that document to ABSA, ABSA will look at number 3. They'll say, okay, here's a guarantee. Is the amount correct? 993, yes. Is it going into the correct account number? Yes. So I communicate with bond cancellation attorneys, the attorneys from ABSA, and I deal with the attorneys from Nedbank. Okay? So the attorneys from ABSA have given me cancellation figures. I've then asked the bond attorneys, please may I have a guarantee for that amount, okay? Once I've requested guarantees, I know that the buyer is going to go sign their 80 to 100 pages at the bank because it's financial documents, so it's a lot of documents that buyers need to sign at bond attorney. So they will go and sign their bond attorney there, their documents there. Please note, with transfer documents, my transfer documents for the actual house, Because a buyer only signs 3 pages, I usually send them off to the bond attorney. So when I request guarantees, I send mine literally 3 pages to the bond attorneys as well. So when the client goes and signs their 80 pages, they're going to sign my 3 pages there as
Just
well.
saves time, yeah.
Just to save time so that there's no delay in transfer. The buyer doesn't have to take time off work, you know, make 2 appointments to go and see 2 separate attorneys. Some attorneys be on this side of Johannesburg, the other one's on this side. It just makes it easier for them to sign my 3 pages at the bond attorneys. Okay? Once they've signed at the bond attorneys, when the bond attorneys have issued this guarantee, they're going to send me the originals. And when they send me the original guarantee, they're going to send me the transfer documents as well for the buyer. Okay. I'm going to use examples again. I know I repeat, but I need you to understand the math and the guarantee and all of that. Again, bond cancellation amount is 500,000, okay? And the bond is 1 million. When I request guarantees, the bond attorney said to me, we have R1 million available for this house. I'm not just going to request a guarantee to cancel the bond. I'm going to request the 500 to go to ABSA because that's how much ABSA needs. The balance guarantee is going to go to TLT attorneys. Okay, so that when the property registers, the bond attorneys are going to advise the bank, the property is now in the new owner's name. They're going to click release payment. When they release payment, the 500,000 is going to go directly into that bond account number, and the balance 500 is going to go into my trust account. Okay, and today I had a property register. Okay, but there's guarantees. Because it registered today, that doesn't mean I can pay the seller today. The bank still needs to release the payment. So that money will reflect in my account on Monday, so I can attend to the finances and pay the seller. And I'll tell the seller, you sold the property for 1 million. 500,000 went directly to ABSA. The balance 100,000 went to Yellow Star, and 50,000 went to rates clearance, 5,000 here. This is how much money you left over with. Okay, so that's how we do the calculations with guarantees. So guarantee, you got 1 million, I request a guarantee, I send it off. Okay, now I've got my guarantee, I've sent it off to ABSA. ABSA, what they're going to do is they're going to upload their documents onto their system. Okay, to get a proceed from the bank. So the ABSA is going to go, okay, this guarantee seems in order, you may proceed to lodge. We're happy that we're going to get our money on registration. Okay, another thing, please, it is important, just because your sellers are selling their house and they think their bond is going to get cancelled, the moment they sign the offer to purchase, they stop paying their bond. That's a no-no. They must continue paying their bond. Purely because when I requested figures, they said the client owed 500,000, but now the interest is running, they haven't paid. So now it's not actually 500,000, it's now actually 505,000. I'm not going to request guarantees every time. So we tell the client, continue paying your bond, okay, until it's registered. When they come and sign with me, I do explain to them to say, okay, you're currently owing 500,000 to the bank. However, at the end of July, a debit order went off your account. The end of August, another debit order went off your account. By the time this property registers, 4 debit orders have gone off their account. But just remember, when I got the figures, the bank said 500. But now months have gone by. That means the closing balance is no longer 500,000. It's actually 480 because the client has continued paying their bond. That's fine. And I'll reassure them, even though the bank said they wanted 500, we're going to give them 500. There's a document that the seller will sign. It's called a refund sheet. They'll put their banking details. When the guarantee pays out that 500, but the closing balance is 480, that's 20,000. The bank will directly refund the seller the difference. Okay, so they must continue to pay their bond. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to that front sheet. So we've gone through what a guarantee is. Buyers, bond attorneys confirm amount to be issued for the guarantee. Guarantees are requested from the buyer's attorneys and rates clearance figures are requested from the relevant municipality. buyer's transfer documents are drawn and seller and buyer sign the transfer documents. Like I said, also with sellers, please note, if clients are working, we don't want to inconvenience our clients. We want to give service to our clients. So if your clients are in KZN, it's okay. We can make sure that they sign their documents in KZN. We don't make it their problem, we make it our problem. We will assist with anything. Jake loves to, Jake loves to travel. It's just that Jake's always on the road. But Jake will go literally to the other side of the world for our clients. Okay, I mean, where did you have to go for that client to talk that?
Jeez.
But like Nigel.
Halfway down to Durban.
Yeah. So Jake will go, okay, in reasonable, Jake's not going to drive down to Durban. We'd rather get an attorney in Durban
that does the work for us
and we'll pay that
but
attorney.
anyway, in Gauteng, normally
Jake will
if
sign.
your client can't make it to our office, I book them and I go and I sign them at their house, mortuary, wherever it's supposed to be, and they will sign.
Yeah. And also, please note, we are also available on a Saturday. Some clients would prefer to come to our offices, and that's fine. They're just not able to come there Monday to Friday, but can come on a Saturday. We are in the area. We just need to book the appointment.
Okay.
You can't just phone on a Saturday and say, we're at your offices. It doesn't work like that. If you can, book the appointment. But Monday to Friday, we do actually have an open door policy. So you can come in there anytime. If I am busy, just note that because of the open door policy, it's very hard to book appointments because we do have walk-in clients, so you will need to wait. Okay, so we've now got the money from the bond attorneys, the guarantees, and I've sent them off to the cancellation attorneys. The cancellation attorneys that are cancelling the bond, they've got that little guarantee, they've got the refund sheet, so they know where to refund the client. They're going to get their proceeds from the bank, and then the bond attorneys, all those 80 pages that those clients have signed, they've also uploaded them onto their system to get the bank to give them a proceed. Okay? Then guarantees are sent to the seller's bond cancellation attorneys, and consent is obtained from the cancellation attorneys to cancel their bond. I don't know why it hasn't completed it there. Then rates, levies, and transfer duty is paid. The last thing I do is pay the municipality, okay, and SARS, because anything can happen in a transfer, unfortunately. We've had matters where we've lodged in the deeds office, and over the weekend the clients were in a car accident and the husband passed away. Unfortunately, I have to pull out, okay, because I cannot transfer deceased person's property. Doesn't matter. And to be honest, and I know this, please don't phone me and tell me your client has died if the matter's in the
If it's so close, guys, you don't want to hear that. Because we hear that word and we have to stop. Like that.
Yeah, I know it sounds terrible, but we'd rather not know, especially when
It's like
if
a
it's
3
early
days to go or
stages
2
of
weeks
a
in bed for.
transfer, then it's fine. But if we like already in the deeds office and something's happened, rather don't tell me, and we register that property and we deal with it. We will deal with where the money goes then. Okay, but that way the buyer gets their house. The sellers were aware already that they were going to move, so they must move, unfortunately, and we'll arrange in regards to where the deceased husband's money will go.
And just also very important for you guys is when the guy applied for his bond and the bank gave him a bond and whatever, please tell these oaks, don't open any accounts. Don't go and buy a car. Don't make a loan to pay your deposit, because the bank picks it up and they called it NTU.
They withdrew it.
They withdrew there because the guy went to the Edgars and opened up, wanted a nice suit and
nice takis before.
Tell him you can do it afterwards by all means, but not until it's transferred.
And many times, unfortunately, people don't know this, so they get a bond grant and they need 200 or 100,000 deposit. They go and take a loan out for the deposit because they haven't been informed, and I get told that the bond has been withdrawn because they took, and she said, but I needed to pay you. I'm like, yeah, but you can't take out because then your affordability changes. So if my thing says I can afford 10,000 towards a bond, but now I'm paying a 2,000 rand loan every month for that 100,000 deposit, then I've only got 8,000 available to that bond, not 10,000. My affordability changes and the bank says, sorry, we withdraw.
Yeah. In case you waiting for the house to be, let's say I'm a client and I buy a house with a loan.
Yes.
And then the bank gave me like 80%, and then I have to give up the 20%.
That 20%
left.
deposit.
And then when I delay to give that 20%, does it
Cancel the bond?
No, no, no. So you've got a bond of 800,000, I need 200,000 deposit from you, but it's taking you a while.
To get the 200.
Okay, so I'm very inquisitive, and that's why, you know, doing transfers, I want to know, when are you going to get that money? Me as a transferring attorney, I've got a bond of 800. I know you as the client need to give me 200,000. As a transferring attorney, I'm going to ask you, where are you getting that money from? Are you going to get it from a family? From your salary?
Salary,
Okay, and
It's
how
not-
long
not
is it
the
going to take for me to get my
Let's say
200,000?
I give you until end of September, and then September comes, and then I still don't have the money. Because
that's
Then
delaying
I
our
can
process.
start placing you on terms. Because the thing is, you were meant to obtain a full purchase price of R1 million. You didn't obtain, so then suspensive conditions have not been met. Because the suspensive conditions that you need to secure that R1 million for your seller. But now that R1 million is not secured, you've only got 800,000, and you can speak to me. Let me tell you, we are all human. So if you phone me as a client and you say, Zania, I know you were meant to get the money this Friday. Is it possible that I pay it next week Friday? You know, if it's okay, I'll probably say,
We'll let
okay,
you know.
give it, you know, I'll give you one more week. But if you don't pay it next week Friday, I'm going to tell the seller that I haven't received all your money, and the seller can instruct me to place you on terms, and I can't be held responsible for that. Okay, but what I can do is, like, we are human. If you're saying, Zania, I am expecting this money to come in, please can you give me 2 weeks? I will give you 2 weeks.
so I
Okay?
have to, the client has
Has to speak directly with the lawyer.
Yes.
not the agent.
No,
No.
they can speak directly to me because I need to make sure.
This is
That-
actually happening to my brother.
Brother, that's why I asked the question. So
Yeah,
I
no,
will
it is,
advise
yeah.
the person to talk to the lawyer.
Yes,
Talk
because
to
the
them.
thing is, just
Keep them in
I know it
contact.
sounds terrible, but you know, some agents are just concerned about their commissions,
Yes.
unfortunately.
And not that.
And so when the client approaches the agent say, no, you need to make that payment now. Why? Because they want the commission, they want the deal to go through. But you actually just we are still human, and we still need to be understanding. So say, for example, your brother is unable to come up with the money now, and he's going to the agent and saying, I can't, and the agent saying, well, you're in big trouble. You need
No, because remember,
they
you've
will
got,
cancel the whole deal. Oh, lovely.
remember you've got it on your offer to purchase. Again, we're going back
They
there.
can, and like I said, but that's why you as the client need to go to the transferring attorney and say, I know you need 20,000 rand, but I can only give you 5,000 rand now and 5,000. But you need to discuss it, and the client and the agent will, the attorney will say, okay, that is reasonable, I'll wait a week. But if you're saying I can pay this month and next month, then as the attorney, unfortunately, because it's longer than the normal time, I will then approach the seller and say, this is the buyer's situation. Are you willing to wait a couple of extra weeks? And maybe the seller will say yes, because they're still looking for a property and they're not in a rush. You know, and then you're not going to just lose a sale. We might keep the sale, might not happen in 2 to 3 months, might happen in 4 months because the buyer's only going to get the money then. But that way, we've saved the deal by just discussing it. Okay, so my suggestion would be is for him to actually contact the transferring attorneys directly because they know the contract. They, you know, yeah, I don't want to say, you know, the agent isn't the attorney, but the agent's job has been done. They're there to assist with the transfer and give guidelines. But in regards to something like that, it's not for the agent to say, oh, you're in breach of your contract, this matter is going to be cancelled, da, 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 da. Let's try and save the deal, okay?
We will always try and save the
Yes.
deal, always.
Even if your parties are fighting over something, you like Zania, these clients are fighting really over silly stuff, can we have a round table meeting? We're not going to take sides. We want everyone to be happy because we want this deal to continue. Okay. Number 4 on the document, rate clearance figures. I'm just showing you the first page of, like, for example, what rate clearance figures look like. When they say they are valid from 1st of June up until the end of September. Can you see that's June, July, August, September? There's your 4 months. Yeah. So just over here.
That's the amounts we get from
You
the,
can see that it's valid from the 1st of June up until the end of September.
Okay. So that gives us 4 months to do the transfer, but as you can also see, there's a payment due date. So even though the figures are valid for so long, I still need to, as the attorney, I need to make payments of those figures before then. If I don't make payment before that date, I need to reapply for figures. Okay.
But I won't go too much into figures because James
yeah, that's
is,
our
and James is also very good at
figure.
rating certificates, and
Yeah, I think that's how we'll go.
usually on James's matters, he will obtain his rates clearance figures himself. Okay. Am I right in saying that?
Yes.
Yeah, I do it for us as well, just to make sure.
I do it for
Yeah.
you, to avoid more.
Oh, yeah, we've done some of our
No,
problem
no.
ones.
Wait.
Yeah.
Later things they do, so.
Also, yeah.
Then number 5, a clearance certificate. So once we've paid the municipality is going to give us the certificate. Okay. So you know they said that the figures were valid until end of September.
Yeah.
Okay, and it says this certificate is valid until end of September. You won't believe me when I tell you, do you know that the certificate isn't actually valid until end of September, even though they say it is? In the deeds office, they say the certificate is valid for 60 days from date of issue. So these figures might be valid until end of September, but if I take 60 days from the date of issue and it goes past 30th of September, it's okay, my certificate is still valid. Okay, so that's why I put a star by date of issue, because the certificate is valid for 60 days from date of issue. Okay, that's a new rule that was changed this year at the deeds office. Before they used to take up until when the certificate was valid until, but now they're taking it from 60 days from date of issue, which is very hard for us transferring attorneys to
It
try.
happened to me recently. I think you know that the rules has changed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And I was busy screaming to,
nobody knows that,
Yeah.
just
I was
like,
busy screaming to this lady, that's what the thing is. I said, okay, did you look at that certificate?
it
It should
says.
expire in date.
Mm,
She said to me, yes, she said, but now they've changed. I said, no.
yeah.
yeah, that.
But until I found out, and then I said, okay, she was
And I
right.
mean,
Sure.
60 days from date of issue.
It's
So
not.
you know, if this thing was issued, it's gonna push us, because the clock is running.
Yeah, so that's why I paid the municipality as the last thing. So even if I pay 2 or 3 days before that expiry date, I'll rather do that than pay, even if I got them a month earlier, I'm not gonna pay it a month earlier, because then that means my certificate's not gonna be valid for that long.
Yeah.
So I leave that as the last thing to pay for. Okay, so now this client have signed my documents. I've got my transfer duty receipt from SARS. So SARS has issued me the receipt where it says this is the seller, this is the buyer, and this is the property. Because it's R1 million, there was no transfer duty payable, so that's fine. They issued me with my receipt. So I've got the power of attorney, which I've signed to give Jake the property. I've got my transfer duty receipt from SARS. I've got my rate clearance certificate from the municipality. And I've got I've got my draft deed. My draft deed basically says the house is going to go from this person into the new person. So my draft, when a draft is not the original, the draft is just a draft of it. But once they stamp at the deeds office, then that's the original title deed, Jake's original title deed. Okay. Now, if you look at the covering page, this is my lodgement pack. We all lodge together. So ABSA, FNB, or Nedbank, we're all going to hand in our documents same time. Because when it registers same time, I need to make sure that the bond is cancelled same day and the new bond is registered same day. So we lodge as a pack. So the reason why I'm explaining this to you, so when I say to you, I'm arranging lodgement with the CIMLs, That means I'm arranging lodgement with the bond cancellation attorneys and the bond attorneys, because we all need to lodge together. Okay? And sometimes we'll say, okay, lodgement has been arranged for tomorrow, but the bond attorneys don't have their documents there in time. We cannot lodge without one of them because we've lodged as a pack. Okay, so you'll see they transfer Smith to Dlamini, and we've got our stamp number, our lodgement firm number. So we get recognized by that number 47 at the deeds office. They don't know TLT attorneys, but when you say number 47, then they know who you are. Okay, the bond cancellation attorneys with ABSA, I've told them we're lodging tomorrow. They've agreed. They've given me their lodgement number at the deeds office. Then the bond attorneys, Dlamini to Nedbank. Also, those attorneys have told me their firm's number in the deeds office. And I have sent an email to everyone saying, this is the list of symbols. This is how it must look on your lodgement cover. Please, can we arrange lodgement for tomorrow? No problem. At the bottom, you can see there's a barcode. Each document that I lodge has a barcode. It's called a tracking number. Because just remember, my job is to register the property into a new person's name, my job. But once I've handed it in the deeds office, it's actually out of my hands. There's nothing I can do thereafter, because now it's up to the deeds office to actually do the transfer. A transfer from when we lodge up until registration, usually before COVID, you would take 8 to 10 working days. Now it takes close to 10 to 60, I don't know, deeds office is very slow at the moment.
Did you see last night what they issued out? That the government is getting forced now to keep it open, even if there is COVID, because they were playing games.
Yeah.
Your people are busy, so I was happy to see that.
And literally,
This is not closed.
no, they're
No, but
open.
believe me, within an hour we'll get the message now they're closed because somebody on the first floor and like 28 floors.
Got COVID, then they closed the whole building.
Well, they just hear a cough and woof.
Yes, literally, and then they closed the whole
Now they-
building.
They were playing game balls.
Every week, they were closing on a Friday and open on a Monday.
Yeah.
They have to test you and check everything down before you go.
Yes, so how did that guy get it? So
But how do you pass all these security things and then you get up there and someone that's COVID, then you
And
do
when
it.
they close for 4 days. Those 4 days put us back 16 days.
And the other thing is when they close, what I didn't like is that when they close, the certificate expired.
Yes,
So, exactly.
and
If
you know
because
that
when
they
the
were,
certificate expired, when they reopen, they don't think of the deeds that were already lodged. It means that they have to reject.
They felt it, they rejected
They
it. We have to
reject now.
reapply for
Lawyers have to
clearance.
because my certificate has expired. And the sellers don't, clients don't always understand it because they're like, no, those were the figures, that's the payment that we've made. But unfortunately, it's out of my control once it's at the deeds office. I cannot control the deeds office, unfortunately. I wish we could, but we can't. Okay, so I'm going to stick to my 8 to 10 working days because I have faith that everything will be fine soon in this country and that I pray that things will be back to normal. Okay, so I'm always like to have a positive mind. So let's stick to the 8 to 10 working days. That's how long from the day I hand my documents in. So today is Friday. I've handed my documents in for lodgement. Okay. Now next week, Wednesday, my seller phones. He just wants his money. So he wants to know how long is it going to take for me to get my money. I'm like, but the matters in the deeds of it. Yes, but when am I going to get my money? Okay, well, let's do a tracking and see how far it is in the deeds office. Okay. When I do the tracking on my lovely system that I told you about, my program where I do everything, I go into my system and I put in my barcode number and I say track for me. It will show me that the matter is at level 2, at examiner number 2. Level or examiner is the same thing, okay? But what it actually means is there is an actual examiner that's sitting, marking your documents.
Checking that everything.
Okay, making sure that the original title deed said Sophia Tandi Moyo, but now my documents say Sophia Moyo. They're going to reject my documents because the documents are not correct. I need to go according to original title deed. Okay, so when I say it goes through examiner, so examiner number 1, he'll check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, he's happy with it. Then it will go to examiner number 2. They will check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Examiner number 3, check, check, check. Once all the examiners are happy with our documents, they will notify number 47. Your documents are in order, it's up on prep. James spoke about matters being up on prep. You know, that's when you tell your sellers, matters up on prep, it's 2 days and then the property is registered. Are you ready to move? Because that's when it's literally 48 hours and you need to be out of that house. Okay. The reason why we also send an SMS to the clients to notify them of lodgement is because when they come and sign transfer documents, like I've explained to you the lodgement process, I've also explained to them it takes 8 to 10 working days. So when you get notification that the matter's lodged, you need to expect registration to take place within 2 weeks. Okay, which is also ample time for them to start packing boxes and doing what they need to do. Okay, once it's gone through all the examiners, it's up on prep. I need to ensure that my finances are in order. You know that 20,000 that you still needed to pay me and you haven't, and I like have really let you go on for quite a while. I need that money. Are you able to pay it? No. I'm withdrawing my documents from the deeds office until I get my money. Okay, I cannot register. How can I register a house without 20,000? Who's going to pay?
Once it's registered, that guy turns around and says, sorry.
Sorry for you, the house is in my name. What are you going to do? Sue me? Well, then sue me. And it's going to take me time and money to sue you, which actually I'd rather than pay the seller the 20 grand. But I would need to pay it because me as the transferring attorney needs to ensure that I have secured the R1,000,000 for my seller. Okay. I'm just mentioning it. Please note, I will not lodge if my purchase price is not secured. Okay, because I'm just going to cause myself headaches and unnecessary. So I will ensure that I lodge. But say, for example, I'm 2,000 Rand short on my transfer costs. I'm not going to hold the transfer just because the buyer needs to pay me 2,000 Rand. I'm not going to do that because my agents will be upset with me. My sellers will be upset with me. Why am I holding a transfer just for 2,000 Rand? Okay.
But if you get an agent like me, I'll just tell you.
To take it off his commission.
Just take you 2,000 off my get the price.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy
That's why you do this. That's why you get money. You see, you can't be holding something, it's delaying you.
Guys, most of us and people don't understand on the attorney side, you know, as a buyer seller. We never want to sit with a document for 5, 6, 7 days. A lot of guys will phone you and say, oh my God, your attorneys are slow. There's a problem. Then you talk to Zania and she will tell you, oh no, we've got a problem with the municipality. Sometimes municipality has to send somebody out to take pictures. You know, there's so many things there. Municipalities, then they open, then they don't open. It took me 8 weeks to get figures from Mogale City yesterday.
Only the readings. When you start
Yeah.
for readings,
And when I tell you,
you don't even find where the meter is.
There isn't
The
even.
whole meter is big down, and you can't even take pictures of centering.
I dig it out. I go to the property and dig it.
And clean.
Dig it between and take the picture and then take the pictures there because that can take another
And
2
you
weeks.
make sure that the picture is clear, because once you send, you'll give them the last number of the reading, not showing.
Yeah, then you have
Not
to go back.
corresponding to the meter. Then it's a
So
delay.
there's a lot of work for you guys, a lot of learning for you guys. But learn from the pros. Questions, we will form that WhatsApp thing and we will take it from there. And also, guys, then we will do little trainings here and there. If you don't understand, phone Zania, she's there to help you. You know,
But this was just basically to give you a background of how it all works, you know. So you can say, you know, everyone hands their documents in the deeds office. Once you've lodged, it takes 8 to 10 working days. Okay, you can always stick to 8 to 10 working days. You know, that way it also shows the client that you're not just there to sell a house, that you actually are aware of the transfer process as well. And that's what should make it easier for yourselves as well as for them. Then once the property is registered and everything's fine, like I said, today I have a property that registered. The money will reflect in my account on Monday. Or, you know, it's usually the next day because the bank will release the guarantees today because they got notification that it registered today. I will then attend to the finances where I say to the seller, this is how much you're getting. Oh, the buyer paid 200,000 deposit. Here's your 5,000 Rand interest. James, here's your 50,000 rand commission. I then would take the fee that that the purchaser paid. Once payments have been made, the file goes to the administration department. She attends to the registration letters, and she will send the registration letters via email to the client so they can go and close their account. They can see the breakdown. They've got their proof of payment. They've got everything to go and close their account at the municipality. Okay, if the buyer's paying the house cash, please note it does take a couple of weeks for the deeds office to release title deed. So even though the house is in my name, and I probably would have been like that if I didn't know conveyancing, but if it registered in my name, I want my title deed today. I want my piece of paper because I actually paid for that piece of paper. I want it now. Unfortunately, we have to wait for the deeds office to release it, okay? The reason why it takes a bit long is the deeds office microfilms the document. So they scan and put it on their system. So if you lose your title deed, I can go to the deeds office and ask for a copy of it because they've got it all on their system. So it takes a while for the deeds, for the actual title deed to be released. But once it's released, I will then contact you as the new owner and I'll say, please, your title deed is ready for collection, but you must come with an ID book to come and collect it. Because if I give it to someone that's not actually the registered owner and their brother is a dodgy attorney and does the transfer, they will say, yes, that person did come and sign, yes, yes, yes. And that's how fraudulent transfers can work. Yeah, unfortunately. So it's very important that those original title deeds are also kept in a safe place for your new owners. You know, when they get original title, you say you must keep it in a safe place. Number one, if you lose it, it's going to cost you over 10,000 rand. And number two, also, if you lose it and it gets into the wrong hands, you'll lose the property. Okay, I mean, we worked in a Levine and Stein building, and there was an old gogo. She was blind, and she had been fighting for this RDP house to be into her name for many, many years. And she came to us and she said, no, she's going back home. She wants to sell this house that was given to her. Yeah, all the papers, and she was blind, so she couldn't see, but she gave me the papers. She even had a newspaper article showing me that Gogo won the case of RDP house, and she got given the RDP house. Unfortunately, her family members had signed or told her, sign here, Gogo, sign here, sign here. She signed. That house has been sold 3 times already. And she's coming to me as the owner saying, here's my title deed, please can I? I'm like, oh, this is an original title deed. And secondly, the house is not in your name. She says, it can't be, it is in my name. And the thing is very hard to show, with the deed search, that is what I'm getting from the deeds office. It's showing me this is the registered owner. But now I've got the deed search, it's showing that some other person's the registered owner, and Gogo's like number 3rd down the line. I couldn't show her that she's not, but unfortunately I had to tell her she's not the registered owner. And somehow she needs to figure out whoever is closest to her obviously took advantage and made money off the house. So yeah, things like that happen.
James, I also
property
will come
industry is
now
very
again
exciting,
to
guys.
make a turn and check
It
you.
really is an exciting industry
I do
to
it
be
twice a
in.
month.
You
I
meet
go
lots of
visit
people.
all
I'm
our-
very much a people person, so I like to talk
Just
to
to make
people. I
sure.
like to get to know my clients. When they come and sign and they come with little ones, I'm like, how many little ones do you have? It's always good to make that connection with your clients because you need to build relationships with them so that they continue to use you. I mean, we've had transfers that go by and it's a year later and the client's like, oh, I found someone for my house and there's no agent, but will you do the transfer? Why? Because I kept a relationship with that person. So I was able to remember. I'm like, oh, by the way, how's your daughter doing? And it's like a long lost relationship that you actually build all over again. Okay.
Also keep your clients' birthdays. Even if you sold their properties, you need your clients.
Yeah, just
keep their birthday when you book them. You know that this guy's birthday. You wish them, pass by, and then drop something. You see, for those people in property, for you to have stock, you need to build a network.
for each and every one of
Those
you.
the same person
Very important.
will repay you in Soweto by a cousin. sell it. You sell for the cousin will pay from maybe a nephew need rent. But it's not like you just assist them to sell their properties or to buy it, then you turn your back. No, they're still your clients.
No, because that client in 5 years is gonna sell another house, or maybe they make billions.
Get there, get some kid with it.
We've got
there,
it.
drop some chocolate for the kids and stuff, you know. Don't be stingy.
No, just.
And it's small things like that that really do make a difference with clients. I mean, and I'm a very much an open person. I mean, I have clients that send me Facebook friend requests. The thing is, they also need to know who they're dealing with. I mean, I do have a relationship with them for 2 to 3 months until the end of the transfer. And you get clients that will phone every day or once a week or every 2 days. Like they end up being my
They're like our friends.
colleague, my
Family.
colleague for the next 2 to 3 months. So if they want to send me a friend request to see what I'm doing on my personal life, go for it. If that would make
Makes you feel like you get to know me more, you're more than welcome to. I mean, the other day I spoke to a client and I said, oh, I see you there. Oh, then you Facebook stalking me. He thinks I've got a hot for him that I don't. So I was like, no, Martin, I just saw you on the newsfeed. But they like to have that bit of communication with you. Okay. Guys, I know I've said a lot, and there's so much information to take in, but please go through it. I know there's not many questions now, but tonight you'll be lying in bed, you're like, oh yeah, I have this question. You're going to send me a WhatsApp and you're going to say, I have this question, can you please just answer me on this? Okay?
Yeah, for
What
you
does
guys, I think the
TLT
best.
stands for?
Tanzania Turion.
Yeah. If you
So
look
that's our
at-
director.
She's the director.
You can actually see a bit of her face.
It's the name of,
Yeah,
Yeah,
so most, yeah,
most of those law firms, it's names of.
the surnames
Yeah,
of
it's the owner of the company.
Yes.
But yeah, the most important thing for you guys, I would suggest is study offer to purchase over and over and over and over. Make sure you know every word there, like the footsteps and stuff like that. You know what it means, so you can be a professional with your clients. And the more professional you are, the more they're gonna come back.
You need a lender to say that it's gonna request the offer before signing. It's gonna request the offer to go through it. So remember, when he take the offer, when he comes back, he comes with questions.
Yeah, normally.
So how long you should give them?
When you give him an offer, after you, some they can request us 48 hours,
Yeah,
some 24 hours.
yeah, don't give them too long.
Don't give him too long.
So
You know, because, yeah, some of them, like you said, they change their mind and,
Now, once you give him that offer, then remember the offer also there's a cooling, but don't say there's a best day of expiring date. Once you give him the date. So if he doesn't return it, it means that
Yes, not.
it's cancelled. You just call him or you SMS him, say once more, you have about the time that you.
But also don't harass clients. I've
No,
also
don't
had
harass
agents, guys,
Some
I'm
are
serious.
busy.
I've had an agent where he was so desperate for the sale to go through that he phoned this poor buyer like a million times. The buyer was like saying, yeah, I'm not proceeding. He's like, if this is how the agent is already, and I've got to do 2 to 3 months still with this agent. He said, I'd rather not.
I do have an agent like that. It's not here because I just present an offer somewhere. But it's the type of person that can call clients anytime until I shout at him. So you can't. But bothering them, but the next thing is you are calling and he's going to ignore your phone.
Yes, because they get irritated.
a lot of times the client thinks, what is going on, why are they pushing me? And then it switches their mind to start looking at something.
Yeah.
And believe me, you can be the best person, pastor, everything. They will point you and say there's something.
Something's wrong. Most
Something
important.
And you put that doubt in their mind. But if you can give them a professional service, answer everything properly, sign, do the exact deal. Look, there's no one deal that's the same. And do your documents properly.
James, do you advise your agents about loaded deals?
Okay, that will be from you.
About?
Loaded deals.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
No, not
No,
yet.
that's fine.
Not just yet, when they
When you're
More
professional enough,
experience,
because you
yeah.
need the experience.
have
Otherwise,
experience now, they're out.
because you get the out phoning the attorneys and say, what is this?
Mess up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
This time goes on, because there's still a lot that is like.
No, it's good to
Yes,
know
yes.
that you guys are starting and you're in a very good industry. I mean, and now is a buyer's market,
Buyer market.
not a seller's.
So can I just ask a general question? Are you gonna specialize in certain areas? Are there areas that you want to work in? How is it working?
No, actually, what I'm going to do is that everyone has to be specialized where he stays.
Okay, in their living
But we don't
area,
have limits.
okay?
Understand? But where you stay, the area that you stay.
Yeah, so if you pick up somewhere, it doesn't matter.
If you pick up somewhere, it doesn't matter. But where you stay, make sure that you are known there.
Mm.
So let's say I'm not in Soweto, so I know I've got an agent who's in Soweto. So any buyers that have for Soweto seller, it goes to that agent.
Mm.
Ah, good.
So I say, okay, we do have, the office has 2 buyers for Orlando. So
Yeah.
it's your job now to get property in Orlando and provide
Okay.
for us.
Yeah, they know my car already.
Yeah.
So even the guys by the robot, Jake.
Yes.
No, I'm like, I've never met you, but they know.
Can you work with other agents from other companies?
Yes, you can.
You can
Obviously,
work-
there's-
you can work with agents for other companies, but you see, there's other companies, they have some intern strict rules
Yeah.
in terms of sharing. The only problem is the sharing. There is no law that says you cannot work with the other agent. And the problem is that other agents, other agency, they are greedy. They don't want to share, they are 50-50. So you can have a buyer, you call them,
I had that one now.
if you call them, they can accept work with you. And they will tell that they will pay you referral. So imagine if you take a buyer to buy a property of 1 million rand,
And you get 5,000 in referral.
and then they give you
not
5,000 rand for referral, and then they have their own.
Mm.
So it doesn't work that way. Like you're taking money and then go and hand it over to someone.
Yeah, look, a lot of them, especially for you guys are junior, and they sneak on that. And they will put your name on there, and then the attorneys will say, but listen, where is your fidelity fund certificate? Where is that? This is this man. Robert put his name on there on a 50, and he'll make sure you get your money. Because you need your certificates from the State Agency Affairs Board, the principal, they come with funnies like that, because they know you're a junior, and
Yeah,
then he goes, we're not gonna pay you out. And that's normally 2 weeks before. He says, no, we're not, give me your certificates and I'll pay you.
that's why I always say that as an internal estate agent, anything that you do,
Will
you
be
have to do it under. my
Under
supervisor.
until you qualified enough to go to
Until
the
you
council.
register, I register you that you now become a full
Agency.
agent, then you can sign now, because those are legal documents. You see, so the estate agent code of conduct doesn't allow an intern agent to sign document with client. So you'll be signing under my supervision. But when it comes to work with other agents, you can, or we can call them if they accept on 50-50.
Mm.
Because it works on 50-50.
Yeah.
At least it makes sense. But if it doesn't, then there's no defect.
No.
There's no fair. That's why it's always good to source and fund stuff for yourself.
Yes. Because you'd rather get the 100%
Understand?
and
Because
push
if
for
you
that
fund for yourself,
100%.
then you have 100%, then the company will get something, you get money.
Yeah.
Yes.
But also, if you've had a mandate for 2 to 3 months and you haven't found anyone, but someone has come up, then maybe it is something to look at because your
So what
client is
actually we
running out.
do is that when you have a sole mandate, what is sole mandate, exclusive mandate exam, once you have it, we keep it for 2 months for ourselves.
No, 60 days. Okay.
You understand? For ourselves. Then after 60 days,
The last.
if now we don't have clients on ourselves, then we open it to other agents. Other can call. But if someone calls you on the first month, you can still just keep his details and try maybe to see if you can get
Yes,
on
exactly.
our own to send the commission. But if not, after 2 months, then we open, we call them, if their client's still there, they can now come, then we share 50-50. Company like Pam Golding, if you call Pam Golding, they'll ask you all sort of question, are you registered?
Sure.
Are you registered, VAT number, and all these things you give. Then they will ask you to give your client's name.
They'll take the client.
You know why? They will check that they have to check on their books.
Mm.
If that name doesn't exist, if they check on their books that the client have called
Yeah,
you
then it
before,
all of a
it's
sudden appears
suddenly
under
that
that.
you say, no, this client is not our book, he's our client.
Yeah.
So I'm going indefinitely.
One of them, yeah. There's quite a lot, some remaxes as well.
And
Yeah.
remember,
Hard courts and those guys. It's all the big ones.
all the,
Funny enough.
especially all the big ones, they're the ones that are funny. They think they are working together with the law, but it's not the
Yeah,
law,
they don't know.
but they're just trying to breach and make money for themselves. But we do deal, like me, I don't have any problem dealing with an agent.
Yeah,
Let's say if I've got a property today, and tomorrow one agent comes with a buyer, and we sold that property. It's a good record for us and for the clients that know in a week you sold the property. Understand? So there's no need of, because in property, there must be some other deal you can't make big money, and one other deal to make big money.
Yeah, and that's
Always
just
like
how the
that.
business is, unfortunately.
You know, that's how it is. So you can stick to something that end of the day doesn't bring much. For Zanya, charity defined, there's no more financial problem there. The money are gone, there's instant left and right, figures pay 3 times. You see. But there's other deal that you can get today, and tomorrow someone from Bimex called you, you do a deal. You see, in a week already you've saved a commission.
Yeah.
So that's how it is. But all these other things, the things that we have to discuss on our Monday meeting,
exactly.
in the company. You understand? So because we have every Monday meeting, those are the things that I'll show you.
Guys, I just want to tell you guys that the more you put in, the more you're going to get out.
Yeah.
This is not a job that you wake up, nah, I'm not going today. There's a lot of things, and there's a lot of guys that's made it big. And all of them that I see, there's guys that really push, they walked the miles, they dropped the pamphlets, they did this, they followed
I
up.
walked, my shoes finished.
I was just about to say something.
You them out. You get started, you drive and you go there, you rush you the petrol, you get stuck. And you have to leave the car and get the lift somewhere and rush to the appointment. So there's a lot.
Do you know Julius in Scala?
But
I sometimes go to the south, in Estana and Remy, Remy is in America. I help them dish flowers. You know, she said, why are you coming? You're my client. That's my client.
You know, there's a time when you said that we have a road show. See, some they would like, because you put your expensive hair, and then you see a car at someone, but then you look at the side, because no, you're working there.
Yes.
That's your job.
Yeah, you're working, but like these days, you can wear mask, no one will see that.
Yeah.
You can look like a person, push the news up.
Yeah.
And that's the fire. So when you stand there to do it, do it. Don't look at people,
Forget people.
because no one pays your bill. When the bill comes, it comes yourself. So if you stand there, you start looking to, well, see me, I'm giving flyers and then, no, just do it. Like
And
Nike.
guys, social media is also a very big thing. You know, I hope that James has also told you about, because he's quite active on social media in regards to like listing properties, take photos. And even when, you know, I'm going back now, even with those clients, you know, and their ID documents and stuff, you don't have to make a copy or get copies or go to photocopy or anything. What you're going to do, you're going to take the document and you're going to actually take a photo, a clear photo of that ID, and you're going to send them through to me via WhatsApp. I can print it off my phone. So then it already saves time on trying to email and I'll scan and I'll do this. If you've got your documents in front of you, please just take clear photos, not with a whole table in the background. I want to get the blankets and the toes and the fingernails, and I'm like, no.
Like a municipal account, the banking details, their banking
Yeah.
details, where they want the money to go into. That's all FICA. If you go to Edgar's and you don't give them FICA, there's no account. They can't open it. Same with us, guys. Get it first time when you're there, and it's done. Send it on the phones, we can print off our phones.
And then it's good also because make sure you save time and you also save the client. Because you see what you there, you take the picture and see. Already once someone knows that you've taken this ID and stuff, it's already liable to you. He's expecting an outcome, a report from you. But if you said, okay, go and make copy and leave for me, on the way going, you might meet someone else.
Yeah.
That's your picture there.
Right.
Once you go, say, man, we'll do it, we'll do it next week, Monday. Then it's already a problem.
So rather
Same
ask the
thing when you go also don't sign an offer with the client. You must have an offer with you.
Yeah.
Make sure when you meet, then you close the deal. Get the client to sign.
Yeah.
To sign. Even if they are married in community of property, you meet one in center, just sign one. Then you drive late home and you get the
Yeah,
second
that's
one.
what I do, guys. Sometimes
Get the
husband
second
and
one.
wife is
But
not.
say, no, my wife is not here. Can I go with the offer or let me tomorrow?
No, you sign now, I'll sign with the
I'll
wife.
sign with the wife later. Where do you want to meet your wife? Or the wife is in Rosebank or Midrand. I'll drive there and get to the wife to sign. Because some clients, especially people like go meet your property, a problem. They will sign one sign here. When they get home, they pour in food there on the table and there's paper to sign. They start fighting for each problem. And they ignore the paper to sign. And by the time it's the time that you know you're holding, them they are fighting. So they have to sign one, you have to another one where the other one is not there. Get them go sign.
So when I sign the documents, it doesn't matter. Well, I like to have them both together.
Yeah.
But, I mean, sometimes I sign a wife in Black Pen and someone in Pretoria. You know.
And then, yeah, I think just because everyone's new and no one signed offer to purchases as yet, just to push you guys a bit, James will let me know, but the first person to sign an offer to purchase will get R1,000 as a.
I want to give them an exercise now.
Okay.
Everyone can sign the one needs to. Just do like Martha is your client.
So it's your first deal with.
Sign her that offer. Hero, you sign. She's your client, sign her the offer. One sign. So I need to see how you move on a complete and sign it now.
Yeah, there is offers. You can use that one in the
Just use the
training.
offer that you have now.
Yes.
And sign him as your client. He's a buyer and you are the agent. You are I'm your buyer, I'm your client here. You are agent.
Yeah, that's a nice exercise.
You understand?
Because now you're realizing
It's
communication.
just a communication.
Exactly.
If they shot, then we can assist if we want buyer.
So you the agent.
I'm just asking you to
I don't know.
So one will be the buyer, the other one the agent, and then you swap.
So it's you. So extra, you are the, I'm the agent. You are the agent. So, and then I know you can use swap with the other person. You are my client.
You still have this whole thing?
The agent is
Hi.
the purchaser. The purchaser is the person who's buying. So he and the person. No. Who's the agent? Me. She is the
You know what I like there? Guys, it's what I like there. Sanitizing first before signing.
That's in marriage. No, we don't live in the space out. You write you married, but how we live in
Yeah, you said you married. Now we have to say how you married. In community, out of community. Or you can get married according to the rules of China.
Or and if it's traditional,
Or you could get traditional, because it's very important for us. Because it makes a difference on the law. It makes, very instance, you are married now, in community of property. Okay, and busy with the divorce. What happens then?
Yeah, then.
No, nothing, no, you can, but the spouse needs to sign as well.
Yeah, yeah, I'm.
And then I also, and I also go to, when that happens, okay, we have to check those things. I have to go to the court and fetch your settlement agreement. Okay, and on the settlement, it will say the property goes to this one, and half goes there, whatever they say, then that is how it's going to be.
Your contact details.
So now this is just the buyer's. Now the same deed.
Yeah, so for a buyer,
I like that they are here.
no,
As Christ.
Because over here, I'm giving you.
Is this the street, and then this is it in Johannesburg, Gauteng?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're gonna leave out the sellers, because we don't even know who's selling.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We're just
You
gonna
don't
Made up as a your makeup.
Oh, yeah, so it's gonna be complicated now.
Yeah, well, you can put the seller, just put anybody. Give me the check.
Manchester.
KE.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's John. No,
Yeah.
Contact details? 000, it doesn't matter. And my address is- Yeah.
And I do this.
So just think of A and then you go to stay with.
And the ticket will be the same address as your address, right?
Yes, that deeded property. Now,
Should be the one that
you asked me, Jackie, where you in-
So I
do you
can
know
see
your
that.
address? Because if you look at the municipal account, it will have the stand
Stand
number.
number and
That's the number you need to put. That is just the normal. That, let's say it's ERF 82. ERF 82. That is my
The
property.
suburb must be there.
Yeah, and let's say it's Cresta.
Yeah.
So now we know, that's the
The ID
property.
number, you know, with one ID number, you can see where my date is, with that I can't.
Now you guys can decide. You know, every buyer and seller is different. You're gonna say here now, are you gonna buy a
Oh,
bond?
that's fine.
You're gonna buy cash, it will affect it on this one.
because I think in this one, it's a cash ATM bond.
Okay, now let's say there's a bond, is it a full bond?
Are you having 100% bond or you having?
These are already.
Under or 80%, normally between
Normal
80 and
80 and
Okay,
so how many percent bond do you have?
That's the same number. Perfect,
just
yeah.
read it carefully.
And
And
you,
you will know.
Yeah, purchase price of your property.
You can put that.
The
So
price
he
was
wants to
okay.
make it for 250, no.
I was gonna
Yeah.
be 2 million.
2 million, this is like the way to think.
Buyer and agent.
This will be the deposit, right?
Yeah, no, sure. How are you gonna have a look at it? You say there's a box. This is the price of it. That's the price of the property. Now you guys said, okay, this is the price of the property, which shall be payable as follows. You can put them out now. Say you've got 80%. So there must be 20% deposit.
For that.
For the deposit, you know, because now it's short on the bank, because the bank only pays 80, now 20% needs to be paid. So how are you gonna pay it?
Yes.
You know, it depends on client to client.
Shall be paid.
I'm not yet, I did deposit,
Mhm.
and I'm not yet signed the bond. But now I'm signing.
I don't think you're able to sign an offer if, if you
Always, you know, the guy that now you have to go to a bond originator and then get this and then get that.
because remember, this is different. What if they don't give you
This
the
is a
bond?
big, if the bank gives you the bond, they can hold you responsible. Yes, they can hold you responsible.
This is the.
Where is the breaker? Okay, the amount.
Some of the buyer, you get your buyer. That's the first, you the first. So this is the property purchase.
That's yours.
The bond rate is not yet going to.
You can do an offer, but on your conditions say, subject to getting a bond. It's normally subject to.
Yeah.
So now you know, if he doesn't get a bond, it's nothing, it was on the document. We can't hold him responsible because it says that, because a lot of people apply for a bond, wait for a bond, and the bank says, okay, you can have the bond, and 3 weeks later, they interview the bond, they need to cancel it because you went to make extra credit. Now you can't go back to the bond. Always put it sounds small or whatever, I don't care, it just protects you. Okay, the subject is always nice. The seller will be yours. And you say to the buyer, right, this is sit down, this is the offer. And if they're happy,
Okay. So,
Okay, so that's the lowest, so maybe these people have.
so if you want 2 million or 100%.
Like really nice.
Let's say
he is
it's
the 100% bond.
Okay, it's 100% bond.
So there's no payment.
Just put there.
So I'm just gonna put, what, 1?
Let me get that something.
Oh.
Sorry, I amend which shall be payable as follows, an amount of, let's say it's a cash offer, you want a bond.
Yes, it's a bond.
Amount of 2 million from bond, So that means now, the amount shall be paid 2,000 rand, and they know that it's from the bond. Or if it's a cash deal, you pay the cash in the trust account of the police. You put the 2 million and they pay it if it was a cash deal. Okay. They upon security for which amount you can get in the future getting account, the into which shall be. Okay, so if they pay cash, the deal is not through yet. But they paid us. We take that money and we put it to the trust. Okay, just so that you know the deal is going. The balance, what is it? You just put the balance on. No balance.
There's no balance because it's a full payment.
I like this. So if I will go to the same which one you grant it to purchase date.
Which is the date from.
You can put the date there.
Any date, because it has to be after registration.
Well,
I can put at least 4 months, right?
no, that is municipality. A day upon, benefit of the purchase.
I think that from the date he pays the money.
The full purchase price will be paid to seller on date of registration. So the full amount is
Is
paid.
paid.
If they agree with you, I know, I'm giving you 2.8, I'll give you the balance of 200,000, so it's 1.8. He says,
But when, if they pay full amount,
yeah, but because it's.
because now we don't know the registration date. We don't know.
No, but this is, remember, this is not, okay, this is not your transfer document. So I would say, we said now it's gonna pay 2 million on the balance of 0. Shall be payable. In terms of registration of the mortgage bond, it should be granted by the following day. So let's say upon registration.
So earlier, then you'll say, okay,
No, we don't know.
We don't know the
what
date.
you want.
No, you don't know.
Once you apply for it,
But you can see upon the registration, some of the guys will tell you, nah, bring me until the end of the month, what.
You see,
The offer is subject, you see, there we go, the offer is subject to conditions that the person is able to acquire a mortgage bond. If not, you don't have to do that. Okay, now you say, no, you got a bond, you pay a lot, 1 million rand. So now you've got a mortgage bond condition, the offer is subject to condition, the purchaser is able to acquire a mortgage bond over the above property, not less than 2 million. Total within so many days. If there was a gap, you put that figure in there and you say so many days. So he is responsible, I would say, before it, Zania will phone them and say, listen, this day.
yeah.
Okay,
If it was
if it's a bond. Exactly. And you say, what is that by the way, what date is it
So
coming?
if perhaps it was 2 million, then the clients got 80%, so the 20% has to be paid.
Yes.
So the balance of the 80%.
That's it, that's it. Okay, and that's sometimes guarantees from the bank.
So if they don't meet up the dates, then I
Okay, that's actually up to the attorneys.
yeah, this is you guys.
Yeah.
And then we go to the commission. Agent's commission is the purchase price calculated at
It's either
7.5% of the total purchase price.
this
This
amount,
amount
so you work it out of 2 million, you put it there. If you share with another agent, you do this, you say 50/50.
50 here, 50 here, I'll write name of the investigator. So the first one will be us, the yellow star.
So then, let's say, for example,
So for instance, you're in August as well, if you see this one here. You say for instance, August, you say, should such mortgage bond not be granted? Now he's applied for it, but you need to give him a date. You say, listen, John, you need to get your granted by the bank. Then you can put a date there. Let's say, if you don't have it in 30 days.
So I can put the
Then
date
it's
of
cancelled.
September. Should I put just 30 days or I can put a specific?
so I'm gonna.
Oh, you can put either 30 days or a specific date. Okay, days from date of signature, then this after the use is automatically determined. Okay, so that gives him the time, if he gets it, the conditions are met.
If it doesn't get it, it can still negotiate.
I'm waiting for another bank, so I wasn't ready for that. But once he signs the document, he's in.
It's in it, yeah.
It's just for them to make.
Administration of the mortgage bond, over the bond.
Taken to negotiation. They just explaining how to,
Yes.
in case you cancel.
Then you continue.
Yes, for
Then we
sure.
say, yeah, the officer is 800,000.
She
That
says
is on the
subject to all
conditions.
conditions and servitude mentioned, set out and referred to in the current title deed. Whatever the title deed is, your earthiness. This bit, the post here and there, and this is your space. And that is the condition for that.
If they've got other
Okay, pegs and beacons, there we, unfortunately, it tells you where the pegs and beacons are, so you know your area. And on the title deed, it will say that is the
This is
area.
the area.
Square
Yes.
meters. Then you can just read what it says.
Yeah, I can actually just explain to the buyer what's the
Yeah,
cost
you
of
just explain it to
cancellation.
them, yeah.
Yes, what's the cost of cancellation if ever he decides to cancel, how long does it have to take and all that.
So what is
In the event that the purchase failed to comply with any of the provisions of the purchase, then the pre-admission periods of the yes, the 30 days that we sign. By prepaid registered post, the written notice requiring the
They can't
purchase
just
to
tell you,
register.
I'm cancelling. You need it in writing.
Yes, it has to be written down. In such event, the seller shall be entitled and the seller's insurance shall provide all other rights and so it's, I think it's quite clear.
Yeah.
What it says here.
Some
No, but I think
agencies,
you can
they
pay
are not
the-
set properly. And you tell them, they get upset.
Okay, so the electrical certificate of copy of
That's the
compliance,
seller?
this is for the seller. Yes, it has to be.
But when you sign this, you say, please, you need it as soon as possible. So that we can go on, otherwise it will.
Because remember, this I'm signing with the buyer, because the seller is somewhere else. I don't know, should I sign with the buyer, the seller first and bring it to the buyer, or the buyer signs and then I bring it to the seller?
Well, you sign with the seller because he's making the offer. Your seller is making the offer. It is for the buyer that you say, yes, I want it. That's the offer. You know, so your buyer will say, I mean, your seller will say, I want this, and I want that, and 7 electrical, the seller is responsible for electrical.
Goes from 1% to
Yes, because you don't know what he's offering, you don't know what he wants. I want some, and then you take the document to the buyer.
To the buyer.
And he says, no, I want that, I'm busy with an 80% bond, and you put the bond details. That's always first, because you don't know what your seller wants. He'll tell you 1.2 better when you go to the document. How about I want without that, whatever. And you just add it there. So this is his offer to the buyer.
So, but if the seller says, I want my 2 million without VAT, so you mentioned that 2 million without VAT. Which means we're gonna sell it for how much? It's not